dig it? Can you dig it?
Ladies, gentlemen, friends, foes, lurkers, regulars, GMO people, organic people.
Boiler room. Inbound. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. Well, what can I say? This is the Boiler Room. My name's Brian McLean. My call sign is Hesher here in the Boiler Room and at Alternate Current Radio, where we are streaming live tonight. ACR. We're also streaming live on the YouTubes. What's up, YouTubes? Streaming live on the Rumbles. What's up, Rumbles? Streaming live on the X's. What's up, X? And then onward, outward into the podcastosphere as RSS feeds go. So, yeah, it's September 11th, 2025, which just so happens to fall on a Thursday night, which is a standard Boiler Room broadcast night. I want to thank you for tuning in tonight, especially if you're live. Give us a shout out in the chats. We got a Discord chat running. Good to see Whitebird, Kilowatt, Awake Jake, Timmer, some weirdo named Hesher, Brian S. What's going on? We got Fleety, we got Sage, Kilowatt. What's going on? Good to see everybody over there in the Discord. You guys know what's up. You know what happens tonight. And of course, we got some friends over in the various other channel chats that I just mentioned also. So, I mean, as you know, if you're a Boiler Room / Social Rejects Club regular listener or viewer, this is a very freeform, unscripted sort of show. And that is something that Spore and I have always loved about this show. And it's also something that many of you out there have written us and told us that you love about this show. You know, there's something to be said for highly produced, highly curated shows. You know, Ruckus and myself and some of our other colleagues have been on that side of the fence as well and have a healthy appreciation for, you know, both those styles and everything in between. But when it comes right down to our roots, they're a DIY roots. When we started Alternate Current Radio 11 years ago or whatever, back in 2014, it was very much a case of how do people do this? How do people get, you know what I mean, a group of people, individual thinkers, group of individuals with mindsets that meshed well, worldviews that meshed well, and challenged one another. And especially looking at the media sphere and saying to ourselves, you know what, this media sphere is odious. It is hateful. It is deceitful. It is weaponized. It is a propaganda vector into our third eyes. And it has got to stop. And there was this beautiful moment in interwebs history there between, I don't know, particularly once we were able to start like streaming audio. I'm actually doing a project right now in the background, and I'm restoring, remastering, re-uploading decade-old episodes of Sunday Wire and Boiler Room. And it's been really interesting to go back and listen to the audio quality that we were used to, you know, able to pull out when we were brand new, and the kind of interviews we were doing and compare it to where we're at today. But one of the things that really drove us was just, you know, hey, how do we learn to protect ourselves and encourage those around us to protect themselves particularly their core facilities, right? Like their mental health, their spiritual health, their worldview, how that prompted them to interact with the goings on around them in their daily lives. Like so much of that stuff we realized was being installed by toxic media. And this is back when social media was just like, oh, hey, here's my friends from high school. Look what I found here. You know what I mean? It was not this sickening web of infinite doom scrolling and everything that we have now. Algorithms, censorship, all that, right? That wasn't really there. It was like we just wanted our voice out there. We just wanted to be able to give our analysis and our counter analysis, sort of our opposition research to mainstream media. And here we find ourselves all these years from the events of September 11th. And there is a very public, very gruesome, very sad assassination of a what I would, you know, of an influencer. Let me look at his job, okay? His job essentially. I'm talking about Charlie Kirk. Obviously, we can't not see that in our scrolls. No matter, we talked to a couple of friends that were sort of apolitical today. Did you hear about this? Yeah, it's the only thing in my social media feed right now. So it's the only thing in everybody's feed. But top tier political influencer, right? Someone, a young man, came up at an early age, had a great idea that he ran through all the universities, and it went from crowds of, a dozen to 70 to 100 to 300 to 7,000 to, just huge. And people loved him, people hated him. He had this big team that grew around him, Charlie Kirk, Turning Point USA. It all turned into this very big organization that became very influential. And being an influencer is much more complicated than most people would think. I talked to some people with young kids and they say, oh, they want to be an influencer, right? They want to be an influencer. People that want to be an influencer, and it looks awesome, right? Like people just naturally gravitate to you because you have an awesome personality and you're not bad on camera and you got some smart ideas. But that's not really the way it works when you're talking about a top tier influencer. We've talked about this on the show before. I imagine it is a very slippery slope for a young person like Charlie Kirk to fall into that sort of fame and have that big of a team and require, to have security around you at all times and all this other stuff, and be so hated by so many people on such a level. You know what I mean? Like, I think everybody's experiencing that in the political dialectic zone, being hated by others. That's why we called tonight's show, They Got Us Right Where They Want Us, at each other's throats. And Ruckus told me I was a title Picasso for coming up with that, but I really have to give some of that credit to the band Filter, because their song America has that line in the chorus. And Spore and I were listening to it yesterday, and I was just thinking, wow, that is very apt for where we're at right now. So we're here to do what we do. And, one other thing about Charlie Kirk, I will say, I've vocally disagreed with a lot of his stances on certain things. Those of you that watch and listen to the show know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm sure some of that will come up tonight. But at the same time, the boiler room has always been out for blood, but not the blood of violence. The boiler room has been out for intellectual blood, media blood, right? Figurative, metaphorical. And the boiler room has always stood by an anti-war stance, an anti-violence stance, an anti-political violence stance, and a pro-free freedom of speech stance. So the fact that we are where we are right now, and that this is escalated and is escalating potentially, who knows where this goes? Maybe it dies down. Maybe we end up somewhere like Summer of Love 2020. We certainly have cataloged a lot of violent rhetoric tonight in the show notes. And we certainly have collected a lot of hatred in tonight's show notes. And I'm not going to try to feature any of that stuff. But you know what? You can't go to social media without seeing some of this stuff. So it's going to need to be talked about in some way, shape, or form. Personally, my biggest problem with all this is that we're looking at the anniversary of 9/11 right now. And we don't have answers on that one still. We've got plenty of research. We've got plenty of evidence. We've got some court cases. We've got bazillions of hours of podcasts and book readings and all kind of things that we can go to. But we don't have answers. Same with JFK. Same with RFK. Same with MLK. We could go on and on and on. All these things have a narrative around them with no proof to the public other than media data from corrupt media. And right now we are being flooded with data from media and social media and mass media cartel. And it's all conflicting. Everybody's trying to jump on the narrative that is most plausible, that probably fits their identity politic and their bias. And we're all subject to that. But we're at a point now where something like this happens and we can't get definitive answers. And they got us right where they want us, at each other's throats, when there's probably something much nastier going down. But who knows? Who knows? Are we ever going to know? And that's the most sad thing about this. I have so much respect for anyone that will put a camera and a microphone on themselves and say stuff that people don't want to hear. And these days with the polarization, when you're saying stuff no one wants to hear or a bunch of people don't want to hear, you're also saying the stuff that a bunch of people do want to hear. And that's what should bring us together. And that's what should cause good public discourse. But as we've warned on this show for over a decade, if you keep mucking around with the culture, if you keep causing culture wars, if you keep using the media to polarize people, if you keep pushing on the race card and you keep pushing narratives that are polarizing and figures that are polarizing, you will end up in a situation like this. Not that it's new. This has been brewing since Trump era one, even longer back, maybe, perhaps. All right, let me bring some friends into the show here. I'm going to bring Mystical Pharaoh in here first. Mystical Pharaoh joining us on this episode of the Boiler Room. It is September 11th, 2025. Charlie Kirk was murdered yesterday in front of all of us in very brutal fashion. Everybody's upset. They can't even have a vigil without violence breaking out at a vigil. Things are very tense in this country today. Welcome to the Boiler Room.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's not a very I'm trying to think about how to say that. It's a very tragic, horrific incident, right? But honestly, the trajectory has been drawn for a while, right? This is something that, as you said, like I think it's been brewing since, I would say, early Obama eras, right? I think that's when they first really start pushing for this.
Yeah.
And then with Trump coming, 2015 definitely amplified that, and it's been pretty much brainwashing on both sides of hatred and division, right? Because they were, and through that hatred and division, they were able to really push a lot of agendas, starting from that Obama time through Trump time, COVID, Biden, second Trump administration, right? And probably we're going to see more, right? Because the more we are divided and the more this nation is just eating each other, um, the more they can push whatever they want to push, right? And keep you really down. Because they're just in constant state of like hysteria, and that's really no clear thinking at that point of time, and there is no ability for you to really connect on a human level or with your fellow countrymen, right? And really be a functional country anymore.
Right, like your common ground has just been stripped from you. Like even if you can agree on some like cultural stuff, like if you can't agree on some of the political stuff, which by the way is all gray with the cultural stuff anyways, it's just like, oh no, it's a no-go. Failure
Hmm.
to launch.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting too, timing, right? And I don't want to get too deep into this now, but like with it, you can see different events happening and they are stacking, and we're going to unpack that more when we get deeper into it. I don't want to like take too much time, but looking forward to get into it and discuss with you all tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. I'm glad you're here, man. And let me welcome Whitebird to the show. Whitebird coming back to the show. It's been a minute since Whitebird's here, but Whitebird, welcome back to the Boiler Room, man. It's great to see you. So, yeah, what do you think, man? Polarization at all-time highs here right now, and I know you stay off a lot of the social media feeds, but man, I got some stuff that'll make your head spin tonight from X and other places. It's just like, what? This is really the rhetoric right now? What the hell's going on?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's certainly been one of those weeks where I wish I had a Twitter account or a Facebook
Yeah.
or Instagram to be keeping up with the blow by blow. And I always like to look from like the 30,000-foot perspective of how the narrative is being shaped between the different um, sanctioned gatekeepers and, quote unquote influencers and all that, and how they're trying to, like you said, shape the narrative around their particular talking points. And for something like this, within hours, there's already 20 different theories, streaming around of, multiple shooters, guy on roof, magic
Right.
bullet theory. Was there squibs? Was he wearing a plate? Is it AI? Is his ring falling off in between
Shot
these
from
different
behind by his own
stills?
security.
Like, and after like, even I have a stomach for this sort of stuff, and even after 2 hours, I was just like, I got to turn this off and watch some TV, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I was the same way, dude. I mean, I was humming along yesterday. I was restoring this old episode of Sunday Wire, and like then Jay Dyer sent me a text and told me what was going on. I opened X, and it was just boom. I was on a roll, and then all of a sudden it was just doom scroll, doom scroll, doom scroll. Oh my god, this is so many comments about every single one of these pieces of data. Just amazing. All right, let me bring Ruckus into the stage here. We got a Ruckus among us, of course. Ruckus, what's up?
Oh.
Welcome back to the Boiler Room, man. Slow news week. Like we thought we were just going to catch up on the links we missed last week, or maybe talk about 9/11, which I really didn't want to do much. But now this crazy.
Yeah. I have a lot of comments to make. So yeah, no. Saying that this is a slow news week might just prove to be the world's biggest understatement.
That's what I was going for. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, there's still a couple days left in the week, and it's still early in the. Yeah, no, things are happening fast. So again, I think again on 9/11, we're witnessing where people are generally feeling it, even though this time around maybe they're not necessarily saying it as much as they were during 9/11. They were literally saying that things have changed forever. Things will never be the same in America again, that kind of feeling. And I kind of feel like we're right back in that type of feeling again. So I don't know. But thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be able to share the brain space with everybody here tonight. So
Yeah. Really glad you're here. My other title I was thinking of tonight was Inflection Point USA, because a lot of people talking about that right now, this being a potential inflection point. And people,
And let's not forget the hidden, the elephant in the room continuously, which is why it's hiding in our images today, right? A
yeah,
constant reminder. There's always a motivating factor to all these things, isn't there?
right. AI will not be left out of the analysis of these last couple days of events, because it can't be, unfortunately. And it's part of why I've had to completely change my mindset around events like this. Shift it a little bit, move it. We can't address these things the way that we address them between Columbine and Las Vegas. There was a period of time between Columbine and Las Vegas where there was a very effective way to look at certain events that were politicized and violent. And now that technique is sort of overshadowed by a torrent and onslaught of data that just is really unnecessary. Like, I'll get into that later in the show. I want to bring Spore onto the show. I miss Spore. Where's Spore? Spore, get in here. Spore, how you doing? Welcome to the boiler room. There she is. She's weak. She's looking for that mute button right now. There she is.
Happy to be here.
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We are pretty good. We're pretty good. We're trying to keep spirits high tonight in lieu of all this doom and gloom, which I guess that was last week we played Doom and Gloom, wasn't it? That's ironic. But anyway, Spore, it's lovely to have you here with us today. I know you're very busy and you got to get up early, but I really wanted you to sort of jump in here and give any quick thoughts or jump us into our icebreaker tonight. Because honestly, guys, our icebreaker is not going to be weird, wacky,
As fun as usual.
wild, fun, right? Like it's just another goalpost in what we're already talking about. So yeah. What do you think, Spore?
You guys have a lot to talk about tonight, and I probably will have to go to sleep early. So, just I guess, shocking, totally, what happened yesterday, with Charlie Kirk. I think it stunned everybody. Well, I don't know in what way, but I think I was like kind of like just like in a stunned mode yesterday. Like we're like I couldn't believe that happened. Like this uh I mean he seemed to be like a really good dude, and he was an influencer, and he had a wife and children, and he was only 31 years old, and he was speaking his truth as far as I can tell. Like I have not heard of him being a wrongdoer in any sense. And this whole murder of him seemed very much like an attack. Like it seems to me, and this is, we're all just like reading headlines or news articles or watching these videos. We don't really know what's happening or what happened. And it just seems like he was murdered in cold blood, and we don't have a real actual suspect, and they've changed it a couple of times. Like everything
Doesn't
is.
that feel familiar? Like we've seen that happen so many times. Like a crazy event happens, and then they say, "Oh, this is the person that did it," and then it's like, "Oh, wait, no, it wasn't. It was this person," and then now we're on to like the third person. Like, and I mean,
Yeah,
it's
no, it's not new at all. I mean, I love the way that you open the show, because like we have been talking about this for 10 years plus, is that like the immediate headlines that come out are never accurate to what actually happened, and then what we find out is that we're never actually going to get any actual information about what happened or who it was. um there's no Dexter out there doing the forensic files. You know what I mean? Like, or I just don't see much of that these days where, like, I don't understand how they're saying, like, creating headlines the day after an incident like this happens and saying that it was this person or that person.
Well, I mean, if they don't have them in custody, I mean, the whole thing has just been a circus. It's been a circus. But all right, well, let's go ahead and we'll break some ice here, Spore. So what you have an angle that you picked up on the interwebs today on the social media feeds about this, a piece of analysis about this very topic.
Okay, yeah. So I have it's just a tweet, and I have like looked into it a little bit, and I have not found any evidence if this information is true or not. So I'm not trying to say this is news or anything, but Alex Jones tweeted out, breaking intel. New York Times and LA Times reported Charlie Kirk being shot on September 9th, the day before his assassination. Plus, Amazon Books had, quote, the shooting of Charlie Kirk, unquote, posted one day before his murder. Eyewitnesses accounted in Utah also reveals people in the crowd claiming that they knew he had been killed.
Yeah. A lot of that going around today. There's even some deleted TikToks that people have captured saying that this was going to happen. So that's kind of the first, like, Spore and I talked about this before we started the show tonight, and I was like, this is probably a good place to start. Just all the like weird claims that are coming out, like right off the bat, unsubstantiated claims, is just amazing. Just the sheer volume of them all, like so many of them, right?
Well, yeah, and I mean, of course, like at this point, I mean, we've also heard about a plane that was a jet that was going in and out of the territory that the assassination might have happened in, that the radar was turned off. What happened?
Where did Hesher go?
All right. Have you guys heard this one? The plane, they didn't shut down all the airports, and a plane took off and then turned its transponder off for 30 minutes and then landed somewhere else. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, thanks for that. What does that actually mean? Every single one of these things I'm seeing right now is just like, okay, cool theory. Thanks, I guess. I don't know what to do with that.
That's the point, right?
Mm-hmm. It's like
the conspiracy candy, right?
Yes, it's like the zone is completely flooded, and if you're someone that is totally wrapped up in X, Y, Z of media outrages right now, whether that's the stabbing in Philly, right? The black on white stabbing in Philly, or if you're upset about, I don't know, the last trans shooter, perhaps, whatever it is, like if you're upset about right-wing extremists, if you're upset about left-wing extremists, if you're upset about Muslims, if you're upset about Christians, it's just like every single one of these groups at this point in this particular incident practically has a narrative theory thread around it. Israel, Mossad, he said this about Epstein. He finally admitted this about Israel. And we have all these clips. I've seen all these clips, okay? I have all these clips. If any of this sounds foreign to you and you haven't like been in the doom scroll. We have all these clips. We can play all these clips, but like, I don't. To me, the higher level thing here is the most interesting. Just the sheer volume of shit that is coming our way. It's like, it's insane.
It totally is. And the thing is, from my perspective, is like, I mean, obviously we all want to know like who it actually is. And I don't think that we're going to be able to find that out because of all the mixture of information. But like, what is the purpose of something like this? I mean, is it like I have, you know, just like been going through like Twitter and news articles and stuff like that, like, and I can't see like the what the purpose of like this happening.
Well, like,
who would it be? Who would it benefit? Who would it benefit? Like, why would anybody? I mean, it seems like this was a very professional shooter.
well, it doesn't have to be a professional shooter. First of all, that's one thing that a lot of people are saying that I completely disagree with. If where they're saying it came from is true, it was 150 to 200 yards away. You do not have to be. I could train any person listening to this show right now to be able to make that shot at 1 MOA from 200 yards all fucking day. So let's get rid of the whole it was a professional shooter. It has to be a professional shooter. I cry bull honky on that one. And to your main question, there's
it's not. Yeah, my
well,
main
let me
question
finish.
is,
Let me finish. To your main question, who would it benefit? It would benefit the exact same people we've been talking about on this show for the whole experience, which is those that want to create a destruction for the United States of America, those that want to destroy this country and turn it into a technocratic authoritarian state. And that's why they want to polarize us against each other politically, sexually, genderly, colorally, racially, educationally, statusally, financially. You know what I mean? Just in every possible way. All this does is escalate that division. So I think
don't
that's
know. I don't
who it
understand
benefits.
how this particular, like, this public figure would do all that.
Can I jump in?
Of course.
Okay, cool. So you have to look at actually a series of events the last few days, right? So it started with the Ukrainian girl, right? And for 4 days, straight up, everybody just from the right wing side, just going crazy, right? I'm not saying again it wasn't horrible event, right? But people get killed in subways and in Chicago, like what? How many like a day? Like 300?
Dude, it was like
Crazy like
48 people shot on Labor Day weekend in Chicago alone.
insane, right? So then an event gets picked up, right? And I'm gonna send a screenshot here in a second, and that event gets amplified by mainstream narrative influencers, right? And everybody start getting hysterical about it on the right, and then few days after, basically that Charlie Kirk event happens, right? So who can benefit from this, right? It's basically people, as Hasher said, that want to divide this nation. They want that. Who are the people that are lined up with liberty and freedom? Supposed to be the people on the right? So what do you need to do to get these people completely off this wagon, right? Start getting them completely hysterical, get them completely forget what are the values that this nation was founded on, right? Which is actually should be their platform, right? Get them start advocating for Palantir to start scraping the web 24/7, right? To find the shooters and get them like asking for, like, today like a Republican congressman, and let me pull the exact tweet. Apologies, just give me 1 second, because I found it really interesting.
So much of this, dude. I saw so many mainstream Republicans calling for authoritarianism, calling for new laws to stop people from talking about it or showing the video of what happened. I mean, it's nuts what I'm seeing some of these people post.
Yeah, so
like freedom and liberty people, constitutionalists supposedly calling for censorship, calling for arrest, calling for deplatforming, calling for depersoning.
yes, thank you. That was actually what it was. So he was calling for arrest of anybody. Yeah, here you go. I'm gonna post that in the chat.
Yeah, which ghoul is the so many ghouls trying to run around wearing the Constitution while they shit on it, man.
Republican Clay Higgins, Representative Clay Higgins, right?
Oh, Clay Higgins, you have been featured on tonight's Boiler Room. Share this tab instead. What do we got here, Mr. Farrell? Let me bring this up in size for everybody. All right. Where is Representative Clay Higgins from? First of all, which location gets the shame of having this guy? Let's see. Proudly representing LA 03 in the U.S. House of Representatives. Measure of. All right. LA 03. Okay.
So is that Louisiana?
Yeah, I'm assuming it is.
It
All
is.
right. So let me read this. For those of you that aren't watching the show, I'm going to use congressional authority and every influence with big tech platforms, right? Let me stop him right there. Why is a representative having influences with big tech platforms? I thought the government, never mind. Anyways, I'm going to use congressional authority and every influence with big tech platforms to mandate immediate ban for life of every post or commenter that belittled the assassination of Charlie Kirk. If they ran their mouth with their smart ass hatred celebrating the heinous murder of that beautiful young man who dedicated his whole life to delivering respectful conservative truth into the hearts of liberal enclave universities, armed only with a Bible and a microphone and a constitution, those profiles must come down. So I'm going to lean forward in this fight, demanding that big tech have zero tolerance for violent political hate content, the user to be banned from all platforms forever. And that's in caps locks. All platforms forever is in caps lock. I'm also going after their business licenses and permitting their businesses will be blacklisted aggressively. They should be kicked from every school and their driver's licenses should be revoked. I'm basically going to cancel with extreme prejudice these evil, sick animals who celebrated Charlie Kirk's assassination. I'm starting that today. That is all.
There you go. Right.
Holy shit, dude.
I know, dude, right? So, and this is actually official U.S. representative, right?
Yeah, that's and he posted on X.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
So this is an example, right? And there is more of that. Here, let me.
Okay, before you move on from that, I want to point out to people, because I've noticed that in particular our audience, there's a large amount of people who don't seem to be very familiar with Charlie Kirk. At the end of the day, ultimately, he symbolized, there was one thing that he was known for doing, and what that guy just tweeted stands in the face, directly opposite everything that Charlie Kirk believed in.
Yeah.
To the T, every single word, vile word that came out of that representative's mouth, Charlie Kirk would tear apart. Yeah, this is just like spitting on this poor man who was just murdered and trying to use his death to forward this type of shit. That Charlie Kirk believed in more free speech and more debate. This guy wants to shut that down. That's insane to me.
Isn't that amazing? Like in that last sentence there, I'm basically, let me put this on screen again, just so there's no, like, if you're just looking at your screen now after hearing that and going, what the hell did I just listen to? There it is at the bottom, right here. I'm basically going to cancel with extreme prejudice these evil, sick animals who celebrated Charlie Kirk's assassination. Now, don't get us wrong. We think it is disgusting seeing people celebrate his assassination. But we also are disgusted to see GOP. He's GOP, right? He's conservative. Do I have that right?
Mm-hmm.
A conservative pushing for censorship. You know what? I'm gonna pass it back to Pharaoh, and then when you finish, we'll head over to Whitebird, and then Ruckus, and then back to Spore. But Pharaoh, yeah, go ahead, man. I'm gonna shut up right now.
No, so I'm I'm trying to share an image. I don't know if it needs your permission or something.
Oh yeah, I got it. Let me bring it up here. I add it to stage. Somehow. Okay.
Yeah, just an example of like snapshot I saw today, right? Of someone took basically from all the influencers, and I don't know if you can zoom in or not. Basically, you can. Let's look at Laura Rumor. And let's look at Elon Musk, right? Let's actually start with Elon Musk. Let's look at the very bottom Elon Musk tweet. If they won't leave us in peace, then our choice is to fight or die, right? And then you go up to Lola Room. It's time for Trump administration to shut down, defund, and prosecute every single leftist organization. If he dies from his injuries, and we must shut these lunatics leftists down once and for all. The left is national security threat, right? So you can see the hysteria from all those platforms. And my biggest, the very first tweet I posted right after that, and I posted that in our boiler room chat. That's a horrific incident, but what is more horrific is what I'm expecting from the right response, because that's exactly what they want to invoke. They want to invoke this, and they're going to use all these people, right, that you see here, and the influencer to start pushing that message to get you riled up in hate of your fellow American, right? Nobody's saying anything about like this is again this horrific act, right? But that does not mean that every Democrat in the freaking country you have to hate and you call them like morons and you just like like dehumanize them, right? Because this is what they want. This is how, if anything, right? The reason why Charlie Kirk, let's assume that it wasn't done by any rogue agent in the state, right, or some kind of conspiracy by foreign countries. If it was done by someone on the other side, it is because of the dehumanization aspect that was pushed by mainstream media and also pushed by the influencer on both sides, right? Because that's what they want. So that is why it's poor. This is who is going to benefit is when you look at all this basically narrative that is being pushed. You guys still here? Okay. Yeah, cool. So if you see all this narrative that's being pushed, you can see that there is an agenda, right? There is agenda that's been boiling for a while, and every event is nothing more than just expansion for that. Also, another piece that we need to look at, the way that this was done, right? And that how graphic it was, and the video that was shared on social media everywhere, right? Imagine everybody out there that is vocal against Israel, for example, right? What do you think the reaction will be? This is to invoke also fear reaction in anybody that is going to talk against certain things, right? So I think there is multiple aspect to that thing.
Yeah, we saw Rabbi Shmuley coming in and doing his take on that whole thing, where he made it all about Charlie being pro Israel. And then you've got, like, to contrast that, you've got accounts like Syrian Girl and a few others who are posting clip after clip, like I mentioned 2 weeks ago on the show, of Charlie kind of softly questioning policies of the government of Israel.
I mean, I saw a tweet today that, and of course everything's questionable. I mean, this, so I don't know if it was real or not, but it was like it was a comment that he made like 3 days ago, and he said something like, "Israel may kill me for this," and it's like, it's just everything's questionable. Like, I don't have any where to point my finger or anything like that. And I don't really know what they want out of this other than division.
Well, BB says they're absurd rumors. We've got him here with
Oh, great.
what's her face? Greta Van Stern. Boy, she looks stern. Yeah, I know. It's absolutely bananas. But yes, those are the ones I saw were real clips from multiple podcasts to include Patrick Bet David's podcast and several others, and his own show on Real America's Voice.
Hashar, can you pull this last one I just sent? Because I
Is
just
that
no, the one
the
that
Sortor, the Nick
yeah,
Sortor one?
yeah.
All right.
Because this is really interesting headline.
Oh yeah. Okay, so
Because I thought that should happen when actually someone is arrested, right?
I know.
And then there is a due process, right? Even doesn't matter what he did. There's
Yeah,
still a due process, right?
Okay, let me put this in context for everybody here. Let's see. Why is that not showing up? What happened to my stuff? Okay, let's see. Out of stage. Let me just. I gotta stop sharing a couple things here and then reshare. StreamYard's being a little finicky right now. But okay, well, actually, let me put some context behind this one because I know some people haven't probably seen this whole thing yet. But so the link that Mystical Pharaoh just sent us is this one right here. Let me make the text a little bit bigger for everybody. Breaking: attorneys for the Utah government are preparing affidavits to pursue the death penalty for the killer of Charlie Kirk, per Governor Spencer Cox, which is such a ridiculous statement. Like, what is this? Like, this is breaking. We don't have we don't need a governor to tell us we need a governor to tell us who's going to get a death penalty or not. Like, can we not just arrest someone and have a very public disclosure about the results of the arrest and the arraignment and the trial and all that, and just everybody know what happened and what the jury provides to him? No, we get this kind of shit. Breaking: attorneys for the Utah government are preparing affidavits to pursue the death penalty for killer Charlie Kirk. And this is like a ring photo or something like that, or some kind of security camera who people on Twitter have fed to Grok, and Grok has cleared up, and everybody's looking for this guy now and all this stuff. This okay. All right. Infidel, you want me to play this, Mystical Pharaoh?
Sure. I have not listened to it. Let's see.
Let's see what they got. It's only 17 seconds. We'll see what they do to us.
More than anything, we are going to catch this person. Last thing I will just say is we've been working with our attorneys, getting everything that we need, affidavits ready, so that we can pursue the death penalty in this case, and that will happen here in the state of Utah. More than
what you think that makes Charlie Kirk's family feel any better to see something like that? I mean, you don't have a person, but you're talking about writing up affidavits. Fuck out of here.
Yeah, and by the way, like, there are images that I've seen that guy does not match the silhouette of the person that was on the roof.
That silhouette on the roof was like unmatchable to anyone, as far as I could tell, unless there's better footage than I saw.
I know.
He's probably wearing a furry suit.
Yeah, really. Let me all right, let me pass it to Ruckus. Ruckus, go ahead, freestyle me a little bit here, man. Catch me up. What are you thinking at this point? Like, normally, Ruckus, I would sit here and I would make sure that we structured this in a W4, who, what, when, where. You know what I mean? I would want to set all that up, all that context up, and then I would want to set up the mainstream set of events. I'm giving away the secret sauce right here, by the way, MFers. So this, you may have our old work, but that's how you do it. You set up the who, what, when, where, maybe a why, maybe a how, but that's where all the conspiracy candy gets sprinkled. So you got to go with the mainstream narrative on that, and then you start clocking the anomalies, right? It was this, and then it was this. It was there, but then it was here. It was this gun, but then it was that gun. All that stuff needs to be written down. You basically need an information management system or a bunch of nerds like us to do that. Maybe a fancy Excel spreadsheet.
I knew it. I knew he was going to go with the fucking Excel spreadsheet. Wow, that's not a bad idea. I was thinking throughout this whole thing, I hope somebody's taking notes. But the thing is, like, this is so different because we're getting all those things not in that order anymore. We're getting the anomalies first. Have you noticed that? Like,
Right. Fire hose of anomalies.
it's just all like everything is so freaking ass backwards. Like literally everything about this whole situation. And okay, let me backtrack. So let me bring everybody up to speed with what happened with me the other day. So wow, this all just happened yesterday. So I've lost complete
Can you
track
believe
of
it?
time.
I feel like I've
Yes.
had 4 days of thought about this.
I literally lost an entire day. I don't even know how the F it happened, but I woke up yesterday on Wednesday, very early in the morning, about 5 a.m. local time. I was outside smoking a cigarette and drinking a cup of coffee. I think it was this mug because I broke my Daily Ruckus mug.
That's right.
Anyways, it's getting replaced soon. Thank you to a certain fan out there. You know who you are. So I was just scrolling through my little X feed doing my early doom scroll, and I usually don't post or tweet or do any of that early in the morning. But lo and behold, I run into a massive one of those big blue check mark MegaCon Inc., you know, the one with 1 million followers, and everybody reposts and retweets. Breaking: Elon Musk is going to donate $1 billion to help spread, to have people, or whatever he said. He's giving away free money to have people go paint murals of the Irina chick, the poor unfortunate Ukrainian woman who was stabbed in the neck, right, on the bus. We've all seen that. That was what was going around, and the temperature was already. I was already getting concerned that I was seeing a narrative developing in the new media, and when I say the new media, I'm referring to the social media X. That is very much that's the new source of all of the things. Like the sitting administration, the politics, the policies used to hide behind the mainstream media under previous administrations, whether it was Democrat or Republican. But now it's all pretty much exclusively Republican flavored, but all of those control narrative things are happening on X. Okay. I'm sure most of you realize this by now. So it's very important to keep temperature check on these things and what's happening there. And so I was already concerned that they were already putting out the fact, this idea in everybody's head that like the mainstream media, the leftards, they're all ignoring this story. They're ignoring this story. They're ignoring this news. And then at the same time, we're literally seeing video footage of this poor woman being stabbed in the neck, like graphic in your face, while being told that nobody's covering it. So I'm like, okay, this is bullshit. They're creating a dialectic here. I was just like, okay, something's happening here. Something's happening. And then Elon Musk, he does a silly tweet about like painting murals. And I'm like, dude, where have I heard this narrative before? Where a billionaire was injecting and steering and controlling a movement, as it were, stirring up emotions over a racially motivated attack on a person. Oh, that's right, the BLM stuff. So the whole thing in my mind was a flash. I'm like, oh my God, they're going to try another BLM thing, except it's going to be a WLM thing. And I'm like, and I saw the whole thing in my head already. I'm like, oh my God, the far right thing and the Nazis this and all of this stuff. And I even thought of in my head the Charlie Kirk thing, all of that stuff, because I just watched that South Park stuff not that long ago. So I was thinking about all that stuff in my head. And I made a post on X about it. And dude, and nothing to do with Charlie Kirk, of course. This was way before that happened. And I was just saying, hey, look, it doesn't matter. Like, pay attention to this. And people came out and attacked me like I was some sort of crazy lefty libtard, like cope harder, like good wins over evil. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm not even taking a side here. I'm just pointing out, like, hey, be careful here, because it looks like there's some, fuckery going on, some sort of psyop here, some sort of like all of the things that we usually see. And so it was in that environment that not that long later on in that day, in that environment where people are already going at it at each other. It wasn't necessarily a division of the race thing. It was they were being very political about it. It was very left versus right, very Dems, and a lot of vile language coming from the right. And I was just like very concerned about that. And then the thing happened with Charlie Kirk, and I immediately thought, this is not good. No, this cannot, no, this. And I was like praying. I was literally praying so hard that he would pull through. Although I saw the shot very early on, and I knew instantly from watching it. I was like, "There's no, he just wasn't going to make it." It's so sad to say, but I mean, it was a tragic thing. And then again, it struck me that like, why are we seeing this? Why hasn't this stuff been pulled? Why is this repeatedly in our face over and over again? And real quick, I'll follow up. I think that this whole thing was intentionally done, and they chose him for a very specific reason. It's interesting that it was a throat shot. There's a lot of arguments going about whether or not it was an intended headshot. They missed. Maybe they hit his carrier plate and it bounced up, whatever. But we had 2 victims in a row related to throats, you know? And I'm like, well, okay, well, that's very strange. But this dude stood for the being able to put aside. He ultimately stood for this idea, this concept that no matter what our divisions are, we can't start accusing each other of being evil and dehumanizing each other, because it's going to lead to civil war. And they kill the mother effer. And here we are on the brink of everybody ready to go to arms, civil war, over all of the stuff this guy tried to warn everybody about. I don't think it was by accident. I also think it was a message to a lot of people, but not the Israeli thing. I think it's a message from the elites to the folks like us who get in front of a microphone, go up on a stage and dare to say the things that we talk about. That really was a message, and it was a psychological head fake. I watched Jason Bermas's reaction video when he heard the news. Dude, everybody needs to watch that video. I'm not joking. If you haven't seen that video yet, it will. Seriously, everyone needs to watch that video. And it was a live reactionary take to what was going on. And he's not a big fan of Charlie Kirk, but you could see the fear and the worry in his eyes about himself, about his friends, his colleagues, about people like us, about our country. You know what I mean? And it's just, and all of that's getting lost in this, oh, screw the left, and the left celebrating allegedly, although I think a lot of that's fake. And the right, they're not fake. They're jumping on board this. They're ready to, before that happened, people were telling me that I was crazy, thinking, why would the right side get angry and start throwing shit around like the peaceful pro? Now I think they're ready to do that. It was
you start assassinating their influencers and their youth and all that shit. That's how you do it. And you know, frankly, this fucking style started with Obama. Obama was the one that said we need a radical group of youth. And what we have today is basically Antifa and BLM. And they got, you know what? You guys got fucking radicalized first. Okay. So it's like the flag was planted on 9/11. And that was when we were told, hey, this shit is here. If you live in this country, if you live in this world, in the Western world, in the Atlanticist bloc, fuck you. We just evaporated 3,000 of your people and started a war that's going to last for 21 fucking years, a war that's going to be old enough to drink alcohol in shitty states like California. And guess what? That's where we're at now. That's where we're at now. Like, they got us right where they want us, again, at each other's fucking throats. And it's just insane. It's just insane. I'm sorry. I got to yield. I lost my point. I got fucking upset there, but this is fucking upsetting because this is the kind of shit that we called ourselves the Social Rejects Club for. This is the kind of shit that we were calling out 12 years ago before we even had alternate current radio on other people's shows, having these kind of conversations. It was like, if this shit continues, if the media is allowed to brainwash people into a state of identity politics that becomes a worldview that is then tunable, right? Like Spinal Tap's fucking amplifiers up to 11. And it has a constant input, a constant feedback loop, AKA the doom scroll, AKA the bouncing ownership of, you know, Twitter and X and all this other shit. And the Overton window shifting to allow a conversation like this to even happen on YouTube at all. Okay. Because there was a lot of years where we couldn't have this conversation on YouTube at all. And now all of a sudden it's a conversation we're having on YouTube. It's lightweight. It's super uplifting compared to the conversations that are going on X right now. Elon Musk's little baby, Elon Musk, who voted for Obama, who voted for Hillary. Right.
Hashar, can I ask you? I don't believe actually a bullet will bounce from a proper plate like that, right? I don't think that's viable.
Well, it's a good question. It's a good question. There are like Pharaoh and I have talked about body armor before because we are the Social Rejects Club and we do worry about this kind of shit. And unlike Charlie Kirk, we don't have security details following us around. We don't have $1 million, setups. Like, we're literally in our bedrooms. He's sitting there by his hookah, and I'm sitting here with my beer in my bedroom. Okay, like, I can't imagine.
I'm safe in an underground bunker in case
Ruckus
anyone's
is in a
wondering.
bomb-proof bunker, and Whitebird is in another country, so you can't fuck with those guys. But no, I'm just kidding. Anyways, you know what I mean? It's like, it's so outside of like my reality to think that, like, oh, I'm going to leave the house and I've got, like what I've got is a 12-pound chihuahua that I can't control. And what Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson have is an entourage, an armed entourage, and a risk assessment person and all this stuff, and I'm sorry, it's just hard for me to even like comprehend the media life that people like that live after the kind of stuff that people like us have, been through. Like, we're more like in that, we liked William Cooper. Please don't like do us like you did William Cooper. Like, that's kind of like our crew here, I think. Don't William Cooper us, please. We're just trying to have fucking open conversations. And apparently the Overton window is way the fuck over here. But back to your question, Mystical Pharaoh. If you have a level 4 plate, it's not really going to be a soft plate that you would wear under your Freedom t-shirt, right? Like, he might have had like a level 2 or level 3 soft plate on.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't really tell if he did or not. I'd be curious. I feel like this should be something that should be disclosed in the final, police report, the final court documents, all that stuff. Like, this isn't the kind of thing we should have to question ultimately in the end. But I will tell you right now, we're not going to get these answers. Those reports are going to be redacted. They're not going to be available to the public. And they're going to force us to treat Charlie Kirk's murder, his assassination, the same ways we've treated JFK, the same ways we've treated 9/11. And that, to me, is one of the most unfair and sad things about what we're seeing right here unfold in front of us. Is like, regardless of we agree with him and what we think of influencers and, Israel, Gaza, all these things that were difficult, trans, right, left, all that stuff. Like, this is a guy that's now dead, and his kids are going to grow up like Kurt Cobain's kids, like, you know what I mean? Like Martin Luther King's kids, like RFK's kids. They're going to grow up in this fucking giant question mark while their parent that was taken from them is now some sort of cultural martyrdom that has 4 or 5 different narratives that schizophrenic lunatics gravitate towards and are always coming at them. And then as that person, as that child of that person, or as the fan of that person, or as someone just trying to build a context of reality for themselves, you're forced to fucking pick one of those narratives or create your own. But the fact of the matter is, there's a police report, there's an autopsy report, there may have been a before and after action report, depending on what kind of thing this, you know what I mean? There's someone knows all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I never fucking will. And that is sick.
Oh, absolutely. But if you open just out of curiosity, just this last link, because I don't believe that. Because again, there are just a lot of theories out there, but I don't believe that based on this picture, right? That's from that event, that he is wearing anything that.
I agree. It looked to me like he was not wearing anything. This is one of the better pictures I've seen of him that day. Let me put it on screen here. Baselit Analyzer, what's up, dude?
Yeah, what's up, gang? Sorry about that. I'm combat landing in here. Had some trouble with the car there. What are we talking about? Big Nine?
Well, yeah, the new Big Nine, I guess, would be Charlie Kirk getting assassinated the day before Big Nine. We've kind of been focusing on that, and we're kind of down in the weeds right now. And Mystical Pharaoh was wondering about the theory that's been going around that maybe he had like armor on under his shirt. That this is one of the things Alex Jones said right away. Alex Jones was like, oh, he got shot in the heart, and then it was like, well, he's bleeding out of his neck, and it was like, oh, well, it probably hit his armor and then bounced up into his neck. But I mean, from this picture right here and from what I've seen, it doesn't look like he's even wearing soft armor under the shirt. I mean, I would agree with you,
but it's not, ladies and gentlemen, mission accomplished. Is that not the thing anymore? That didn't happen. We've gone past that. Because
Uh-oh.
this,
What?
'cause
I'm
this,
not.
sorry. Can you?
No. What? Go ahead. Expand. What do you mean by
Well,
that?
I thought that we accomplished the mission and everything was going to be good. Just a few years ago.
With our new administration, right? Or
Right,
what?
and then the latest thing was, I mean, are we not in the golden age of America? I thought that was what was happening.
Oh yeah,
It was
we're
a golden age.
Yeah, well, it looks like we went from golden age to potential civil war. I don't know, like leading up to Wednesday, it was like, oh, there's like a little bit of like race war tickle going on here on the taint, and now it's just like, oh, we've got race war, we got civil war, we got all kind of options opening up all of a sudden.
I did hear today somewhere someone said that it kind of like a few days ago, it kind of reminded them of like September 10th. It was, the sort of days before the Big 9 event where, we were all alive and where there was nothing happening. There was like nothing. The Cold War was over. There was Kosovo and all that stuff. The Balkans, and then there was just nothing. And then all of a sudden this stuff happened. And then now we're so far advanced that we're always sort of conscious of Big 9 happening, which is like not just, the thing on September 11th, 2001, but it was also a decade later. I think that was also the date of the Guatemala. Was that the Guatemala CIA
Yeah, I think
activities?
So. There've been like a half dozen or so of like 9/11 like smaller versions that happen on the same day, like potential things that people claim are potential false flags happening on or about 9/11 for years, right?
Yeah, it's a momentous day every time, and then of course this is the day before, and it is absolutely wild. The videos are, I mean, it's only been a day, and it's like I'm sure we're totally saturated with this thing, and there's so many things to think about it even in one day. I mean, for one, I've been sort of mulling over just the videos themselves, just the video, the close-up video, and what to sort of do with that thing. I had a friend who sent it to me and was like, should I screenshot it, screen record it so that, if they take it down? And I'm like, I mean, this shit is evil. It's evil to have. I mean, I think we should see it. But this whole thing was so diabolical. I think it was evil. The spectacle of it, up front, in front of everyone, in front of the world, a throat shot, a single shot, taking poetically, symbolically taking his voice away
in front of his wife and kids.
Right. Yeah. On a literal stage.
Yeah.
Right. On a kind of dais, at a college on a nice sunny day they knew that everyone would be recording. There was a big audience, lots of young people.
And they have his own camera crew there. So like there were Turning Point USA HD cameras pointed right at him. So it's like we don't only have all this crazy cell phone footage, but someone who owns those cameras at this point is sitting, probably the FBI and their friends are sitting on, or their colleagues are sitting on those SD discs, which would, and I don't bring that up to be morbid or anything like that, but I bring it up because with something like that, like there doesn't have to be a question. Like eventually, I'm just saying at some point when a proper investigation and litigation is completed, there would be enough information, forensic information, to which those HD cameras would add to, that would dispel crazy things that people are saying, that have a lot of our politicians and pundits and friends and family, rightfully, of Charlie Kirk, probably upset. This doesn't fucking make sense. I could, you know what I mean? And there's so many events like this in the past, so many events where okay, let people have their freedom of speech while they're trying to figure it out, but at least have an investigation that makes sense and an outcome that makes sense, and be transparent with the things that you should be transparent for. You don't have to put it on the fucking news, gruesome shit, but you should at least make it available to journalists and analysts via FOIA requests and stuff like that. None of this, here's a 70-page report where 48% of it has been redacted with black bars. All the parts about the forensic has been redacted. You know what I mean? That's what we discover. That's, if you're new here, we're not just theorizing shit. We have journalists that have gone to some of these places. I'm not comparing it, what I'm saying right now, to what happened in Utah. We have journalists that have gone to the church in South Texas and looked at it, inspected it, and compared that to what they saw in the media and asked questions of people around there. Same in San Bernardino. I could come up with half a dozen places we've done this work with journalists that we know. Things don't make sense. And when the reporters ask the agencies, be they local police, state police, federal law enforcement, or government, otherwise, they get redacted or they get nothing. Like, what is that? They want to tell people that they're becoming extreme on both sides because they're coming up with conspiracy theories, yet the very same government, law enforcement, and media outlets that have the actual information will not share it with the public. They actually force the public to have wacky, insane discussions. And on top of that, like Spore was pointing out earlier, and Ruckus and everybody, they will even inject. And by they, who do I mean? Fuck you. That's who I mean. Figure it out yourself at this point. It's insane. You got a laundry list, but they will even inject extra conspiracy candy into it just to confuse the thing and just muddy the waters and make it so that something horrific is something you're just never going to figure out and you're going to have to argue about in perpetuity. That's screwed up.
The topic at hand when he was talking, giving, what he was talking about, and the, kill shot happening when it did, it is insane. And I suppose that was, this is obviously, it's planned at the very least in the sense that someone, came there with a weapon to do this, and was not just, it seems, standing right next to him. So at the very least, this is just outright a broad daylight, a political assassination for everyone to see. It's a spectacle. And just one more thing, the throat shot itself, happening. There was the Trump earshot, which we talked about. There's the girl on the bus getting it in the neck. There's in the throat. Throat shots in political history with JFK, Benazir Bhutto, who was the Japanese guy who got samurai'd in the neck on stage. This sort of thing is like high concept, high spectacle, turning point type of stuff. And it's crazy because I know that, a lot of people probably watching did not agree with Charlie Kirk, politically in a lot of ways, and didn't really have, much to say about him. I know I didn't, but that's all irrelevant now, because it's a maniacal, diabolical, evil, just right, total bloodletting spectacle right there. It's like vampirical, really nasty stuff.
Yeah. So. Felt like ritual killing, you know what I mean? Felt like
Why wasn't it censored? Imagine, okay, so it's nobody here's like snuff fan enthusiasts. Like, none of us go out of our way to watch people die. If you've been following the Ukraine-Russia war, you've seen it, and you've seen enough to be like, I don't like this, but this is modern warfare, I guess. Some 15-year-old dropping a drone, blowing somebody up, and then zooming in on their face and zooming in back and forth before they drop the second grenade. And then the whole comment section is just turned into bloodlust, like, fuck that Muscovite, or fuck that Yuki pig, or whatever that side orc is doing it, And it's like, it's dehumanization all around. But to have it here in the American soil is got its own special retarded left-right paradigm already cooked into the crust. And to go back to, a lot's been said since we started, but some of the posts that the collage that Infidel had posted there was already like kind of a framed in narrative, like you were saying about that kind of got kicked off by this Ukrainian gal on the bus. And so people on the right, I guess you would say, were already, their heckles are already up and they're already upset and already calling for more government, more regulation, more security on trains. Like, how do we let these people through our system? And then you start diving into the legal system that, you know, released this guy 14 times over the, you know, the last 8 years for violent crimes, felony possessions of firearms, assaults. Like, you go through it and then it's like, oh, well, it turns out that the magistrate that released him isn't actually a judge. She never passed the bar. She's just a magistrate. She released him and then sent him to like a therapy organization that she co-owns. And then you're like, what? Like, so they're not even hiding the fact that there's double dipping going on, all these little nonprofits and charities that's going on. And then a $3.3 million grant to release all these prisons out. And this guy just happens to be one that makes news. What are the other people doing? The other people that were released from prison, I'm sure they're not all like opening their own businesses and becoming upstanding citizens and lawyers and doctors and all that sort of thing. But this is just, you know, this started the whole event off. And now you already have everybody on the right calling for more government action, more censorship, more control. Laura Loomer, beautiful woman, God love her, but she's out calling for every leftist organization to be like destroyed. It's like, who defines leftist organization? Like,
Yeah, what are these
are you
words?
the arbiter, Lauren? Like, are we really? Because I mean, people in the boiler room, we've always been talking about like NGOs, charities, like the money just falls through the cracks. There's blank checks written. We all know how it works, but nobody ever looks into that. It's just like all the what are the Elon guys, the Doge guys, they're going to dive into it. Did they go through nonprofits at all? No. Did they go through charities? No. It's just like all like accounting errors, and then the money just gets reappropriated to other things. So it's like, we all know that the big cash cows are big security, you know, conglomerates or whatever, which all of these congressmen, both left and right, are calling for, depending on the flavor of the incident. And then, I mean, not to jump ahead, but in the last month or so, we've had the big discussion about the recent transgender shooter in Minnesota. And like, the dust hasn't even settled on that one. And you've already got sitting congressmen and women, congressfolk, I don't know what the proper term for them is now, calling for gun bans, more mental health screenings, more that's already on the books, and maybe a handful of representatives that are kind of being like, well, I don't support any restriction or any ban, period, even though this is kind of a deadly precedent. And so you've got that whole conversation boiling. And so now it's like, are we looking at a bipartisan push for some sort of like mental health screening with, you know, a Palantir icing on top for all gun owners going forward from this?
And why are we doing that right now? Why is your energy at policy things right now when we don't even know, when the
Well, it's not even dry.
the motherfucking public, the wife and children of this guy don't even know what happened and who did it and why. Like, it is absurd to me. And just like, again, they got us where they want us, right at each other's throats. They use this, and they're literally dancing on this man's grave before it's even been dug, over gun rights, gun policy. Look at this one, dude.
Oh, they're making T-shirts already,
dude. It's fucking bananas. Look at this. Marco Rubio's State Department will ban any foreigner from entering the country who celebrated the assassination of Charlie Kirk online.
Yep.
So they're closing the country.
Just insane.
They're closing the country over social media. Like, that's where someone would do that, right?
And it's all going down on American-controlled platforms, which is part of the angle that everybody should also pay attention to. That they're going to focus on the Facebooks, the Instagrams, the X Twitters, and that sort of thing. The ones that they can actually control and
Yep.
pigeonhole the conversation into where they want it going.
Yep.
They still have control over the algorithms of who sees what's promoted. This insensitive comment by this person that we all hate, like insert whoever you don't like, that's going to come at the top of your feed, and then that's going to dominate the narrative for everything on your doom scroll for the next half hour.
Right.
And they're all American platforms. Like,
And then there will be bots and real NPC human beings in there just ramping the feedback loop up.
Mirroring, reposting, reliking, doing a variation of it. Like, they
Making
got caught
shit comments
during the COVID era when all of them came out with the same boilerplate message, and people made the collages of like, look at all these bots. Like, they're at least doing a better job this time around with making them look semi more organic, but the comments and the end game is being pushed into that reality, into more control.
It's wild that the Patriot Act, went on this long arc to this. And then when all that happened 24 years ago, what was the internet? It was like instant messenger or something, it was
boards or forum boards.
Yeah. It was, still like landlines, and, there was the whole thing with the Big Nine and the air phones and cell phones and whether they worked. And then we end up with this thing, and total Palantir, I've got a friend who's about to get on a flight. He doesn't have a real ID. His passport, he realized, is expired, but it's fine because the biometrics allow him to get on just with facial recognition. So we're even past all that stuff. Even Google search is now obsolete in many ways. You're looking up updates on events like this, and it's like it's so far behind. You're sort of forced to go to X and Grok for information. Everything moves so fast, so swiftly. And yet, have there been any updates about, the manhunt or the search? Has there been anything substantial at all?
I got a couple things, a couple updates.
Did you tell them about the bullets, dude?
Oh, why don't you, man? I'm currently looking through my bookmarks on this, like what Ruckus wrote right there. They're doing to the internet what they did in real life post 9/11. I have a link I want to bring up in reference to that. But yeah, what up?
Well, it looks like Steven Crowder, another just perfect darling of an untouchable media class that never got canceled, never got deplatformed, never had a Stripe or Plaid account, payments accounts canceled. He's got his own coffee mugs. He never touches the third rail, so to speak, or if he does, he just kind of licks the rim, a little taste, a little flavor here. But he got just the tip, dude, just the tongue. He got a message, exclusive. This morning, my team received an email from the officer at the ATF. This email included a screenshot from what appeers to be an internal message describing as a weapon cartridges located by the ATF and other law enforcement officers near the scene. And then they're saying that, it's a 30-06 caliber, and there was Antifa and Trans-Tifa engravings on some of the ammunition. So this immediately already checks the boxes. And it just happens to get fed to one of the good old boys, one of the, the people that always happen to be in the forefront, even though they're kind of milquetoast, boring, people. And I mean, I didn't even know who Charlie Kirk was until like a couple months ago, to be honest.
He's the change my mind guy, man.
And I just thought, exactly. But I thought I kind of confused him with Steven Crowder because he was the guy that was provocative when we go on campus.
He's the prove me wrong guy.
Yeah, so prove me wrong or change my mind. Okay, same thing, but same platform. But
right,
I know, yeah, like
sorry,
it was the guy they just satirized on South Park that we were just talking about in the new season.
And they pulled that episode, and now they're probably, I mean, who knows what's going to go on?
Which is weird in itself because Charlie Kirk's reaction to it was, "Oh, that was funny. I really liked it. I liked what they did with that."
Let me back that up. Let me back up what Baze just said here. Now,
I didn't know about that.
I hope this is okay to say, but I think it is because I have 100 public clips that would also back this up. Maybe not 100. I got maybe half a dozen at least, but a close friend and colleague of Ruckus and myself is on Charlie Kirk's team. And she is someone that we worked with at Today's News Talk. And actually, I would even call her a close colleague of Baze Lit Analyzer because he's interacted with her a number of times. She works on the same team as Charlie Kirk. And she knows dang well, because she watches the Boiler Room and Sunday Wire, sort of the various opinions and analyses that we have here about Mossad, about Epstein, about Israel, about Gaza, and all that. And one of the vectors that you'll find for, certain biases out there is that there's a theory going around that the Mossad was behind this. And it was because perhaps Charlie Kirk was starting to question the narrative about the government of Israel and about what happened on, a couple of years ago on the border in Israel, about the narrative about Hamas, about the narrative about Gaza and Palestine, and how that's all going and how American dollars are spent on it. And Charlie Kirk has been given some pretty serious criticism right here on this station for some of those stances. And I think anyone who did that would stand behind them. Myself, definitely, I could speak for. But he has recently been saying some things like, hey, wait a minute. He's been realizing some things, and a lot of people are saying that's a soft pedal, kind of like Whitebird was saying about Steven Crowder. It's sort of just, licking the rim of the third rail to stay relevant because they know there is a schism in the MAGA movement about this. And there's a lot of people right now, Nick Fuentes, I'm talking to you, who are really pushing that angle against Tucker Carlson, against Candace Owens, and against some other really big, let's face it, influencers in the MAGA movement. And influencers in the MAGA movement are looking at, to get back to what Mystical Pharaoh was talking about earlier, I would say you guys should be looking at some level 4 plate carriers. It's not funny, but it's just, I can't believe we're having this discussion, but at the same time, it's the discussion we warned you we might be having 10 years ago when we talked about this stuff. You may become a social reject for your worldview and your bravery to put it out there in the world. And, in 2015, 2014, being a social reject was like, you're not invited to Thanksgiving dinner this year. And now it might be, oh, you're going to get shot in the motherfucking throat. And by the way, a plate carrier only provides you with, let's say, an upgraded chance of surviving a ballistic encounter. It's only an upgraded chance. It's not guaranteed. It's not magic. That rifle they recovered, I don't know why I would ever believe any evidence I'm given about a highly politicized shooting. But I will say, if that indeed was the rifle that was used, I personally think that any civilian could learn to use that Remington 700, whether it was a 308 or a 30-06, to make 1 MOA shots, which means 1 minute of angle, which translates to a 1-inch group at 100 yards, a 2-inch group at 200 yards, approximately. Gun nerds, you know what I mean by approximately. But this whole thing where it's got to be Israel, it's got to be somebody with sniper training, it's got to be this, it's got to be that. I have no patience for all the Monday morning quarterbacking going on right now, and which sucks because I love the Monday morning quarterbacking on, tragic events like this. And I hate to say I love it.
Could you imagine? It's probably something like personal, like maybe it's somebody the guy actually knows, and he's like he felt like he did him wrong or something. It's like you really never know.
That's the other thing. Like we're talking about like the 6 most talked about potentialities for a motive here, right? Like the 6 sort of like, and it's all game theory. That's the fucked up thing about this. That's why, like, after Las Vegas happened, after the Stephen Paddock event happened in Las Vegas, I mean, very soon you'll be able to go back into our archives and listen to a decade of us talking about this stuff. A lot of it's offline right now, but I'm remastering as much of it as I can, as quickly as I can, re-uploading it. And, you'll discover very quickly that we covered a lot of these things, and that for us,
another event with a stage, by the way.
yeah, exactly. And that for us, the Las Vegas incident, there was so much noise, chatter, and unverifiable conspiracy candy and odd communications that I gave up. That's why I just casually gave you the taxonomy to start a daily shooter analysis on the show. That was the taxonomy. You could literally put it in a fucking Excel sheet and go do it yourself. I encourage you to, actually. If you email me and you want the larger edition of it, I will write it out for you.
The differences, can I just mention the differences between that one in particular and this? I mean, what I think distinguishes this from the Vegas one is that, you know, it was a spectacle. It was, you know, there's a stage, there's like thousands of people, but it was dark. And even the narratives and then eventually the news narrative about what we were seeing was different than what we were actually seeing. So even the people that were running around or like in live time, you know, making comments when it was happening, it didn't seem to fit what we were seeing. And then we get all this sort of aftermath with this guy and surveillance videos, then the brother, the interview, Dan Bilzerian was there, you know, all that stuff. And then this one is in broad daylight with a lot of people, but there's a manhunt, but then there's the stuff they supposedly found, which doesn't really make sense because that whole thing involving that type of individual always seems to be like visible, like, see me, look at what I'm doing. Even, you know, look at the thing we just saw with the school and the writing on the weapons and all that. That was, you know, with the video release, it was visible. It was a thing we're supposed to see because of the person doing it. And this is so wild because whoever was behind this, you know, it's a one-shot thing. People see it, they start running, and then there's nothing. And it seems that if this was like in the movies, if it was like, you know, the Day of the Jackal or something, and it was a political deep state hired shenanigan, then the person involved would get away, and then we wait for the patsy or the fall guy or the political thing that will benefit the narrative that will be pushed, which will be right wingers being pro gun ban or all the various avenues. But this is so wild because there are a lot of, you know, interests that could benefit from this sort of thing. And they all sort of match up in the same, regardless of all that, this seems to me to be obvious. You know, this is visible, obvious spiritual warfare where the reactions alone sort of convey that we have distinct groups in this country and in the world, and there doesn't seem to be any reconciling amongst them. The guy was engaged in debate and discussion, and that was the very question that was going on when this happened. And the common reaction on the other side from people with cooler heads, it's so distinct and so different that, I mean, what are you supposed to do other than, you know, you pray, you sort of try to keep a level head, be cool about it, you know, ignore the Fed posting and stuff. But it does seem to be a major end of the arc of the 9/11 era.
Yeah.
Which obviously the COVID stuff like played into. I mean, this is an inversion of the thing that sparked the riots, which involved again a neck. So,
yep.
You know,
dude, I was talking with Corey Drayton over the weekend, just the last couple of days, actually, right after this happened, about exactly that, like how this could, you know, analog us right back to where we were in the summer of love. Let me hand it to Mystical Pharaoh for a second. I know you got to get out of here, man. Over to you. Save Round's final thoughts for you. I got all your links lit up here, and I'm going to put them all on the show page, and we'll probably hit a few of them after you bounce out. And I'm sure a lot of them are the same ones I have in my notes because you know how to do the thing.
Yeah, no, some of them actually was just level 4 plate versus 308, just to show that's actually. But
nice.
Anyway, yeah, sorry, I got to bounce, guys, but it was great to be with everybody. And again, the last thing I just want to say, just please, like, as a nation, we cannot let them to continue doing this to us. We have to stop, and this is us giving them control over us, right? It's we should not let them do that. And especially the people on the right wing, you are the freedom loving people. Do not let them get you into censoring other people. Doesn't matter what their views are. You should not call for people being banned from gun ownership, because this is again anti-Second Amendment, right? And you should not be for any measure that will censor the First Amendment. And that's where I want to leave it. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, that's a great place to leave it. We will continue on with that theme
Thanks, Pharaoh.
in
Thanks,
your
guys.
absence
Cheers.
here. There goes Mystical Pharaoh. Thanks for being here, man. Yeah, a lot of talk about that. I mean, again, this thing about Rubio here, State Department going to ban any foreigner from entering the country who celebrate. Again, not that we would condone or want those people visiting here necessarily, but the idea, the concept here is not like remove yourself, zoom out, remove yourself from the emotions of this event and look at this for what it is. Let me put it on screen again right here. Look at that for what it is. If you remove your emotional response to Charlie Kirk's death, imagine a State Department that can ban anyone from entering the country who said something on social media that a lot of people don't like. This is America. This is not Germany. This is not where 6 politicians end up dead from a party because that party's inconvenient. This is America. This is not Israel, right? We don't bomb ships from other countries that are off our border and then blame someone else. This is a country where people can say what they want. And if you don't like it, you can turn it off or you can debate them. And that was the thing that Charlie Kirk really brought to the youth in the college circuit. Like he gave, as much as I disagree with so many things that he did as an influencer, in particular his affiliation with Israel's narratives of October 7 and the genocide in Gaza. All right. I think a lot of people feel that way. And I have a lot of, and again, to the people at YouTube, it's just my personal opinion. And this is America, right? That's the whole point of all this. We need to be able to debate and discuss this. Maybe I'm wrong. Prove me wrong, right? Prove me wrong. And I will concede. I've not been proven wrong yet. And people on the other side may feel like they've not been proven wrong yet. And you know what? That means that the debate continues and that violence doesn't have to happen. But to start banning people from colleges, deporting people from colleges, canceling people with extreme prejudice openly. There was this trend that I noticed in the 2022 midterms where GOP folks, Republicans, were realizing that they have just been losing so badly since Trump 1.0. They thought there'd be a red wave for the Congress and the Senate and all that in 22 in the midterms. And there wasn't. It was a fail. Instead, Trump got arrested a few more times. He got charged with a few more crimes. The open border continued, right? Like the metaphor of the mean older brother, the Democrats, Joe Biden, asleep at the wheel while who knows who was pulling the strings. Opens the borders, allows 20 million illegal aliens in and endless amounts of deadly fentanyl. This will really piss off those Republicans. Where were your representatives? Where you still had a lot of Republican representatives that could have locked this stuff up. Where were they? Were they maybe complaining about this on shows like mine? I had a lot of people from Turning Point USA come on my show. I talked to a number of people from Turning Point USA. And I had great conversations with a bunch of them. Didn't always agree with everything they said. Sometimes wondered, what's really going on here in the background with some of these organizations, right? Because some of these right-wing organizations are not that different from left-wing organizations. But the thing I kept hearing from a lot of people was, we as the GOP need to use the same tactics that the left are using. And I would always pause, and I think I even stopped a few of them and said, well, wait a minute. The tactics that the left are using are illegal, immoral, unconstitutional. I could go on. Are you saying those are the tactics you should be using? And I always hoped that, that wasn't really what they meant. But I'm now pretty sure at the highest levels, that's just always what we're going to get. Right? Psyops, fascism, technocracy, censorship, a sliding window of acceptable speech that will be moving faster and faster as time goes on. Artificial intelligence being injected into it to help decide, because it's going so fast, who's allowed in the country and who's not because of their social media. Thus, the Social Rejects Club. That's why we called it that 10 years ago. Right fucking here. We said they're coming for culture warfare, and the culture warfare is going to lead to vectors toward racial warfare, intersexual warfare, religious and spiritual warfare, and political violence. And what do we have right now? We can pick any one of those fucking flavors to apply to this tragic event at a point where we shouldn't even have to be thinking about it. We should all, regardless of what we think about Charlie Kirk, this could have been Van Jones, and I'd be saying the same thing. Could have been Juicy Smollett, and I'd be saying the same thing. We should all be able to sit back and let the legal system, the law enforcement, the justice system take care of this, find this person, have a jury of peers decide what's going to happen to this person, and then after all that's done, we should have FOIA access to everything about that case. We don't have that for this. We're not going to get it. Get it through your heads right now. If you love Charlie Kirk and you want to know what happened, you're never going to fucking find out, all right? He's Martin Luther King. He's 9/11. He's RFK. All right? We're not going to have that. Get over it. It's harsh. I don't want to be the person saying that to his children or his wife, but ask the children and grandchildren of MLK. Ask Kurt Cobain's child. Ask Chester Bennington's kids. Ask Chris Cornell's kids. Does Anthony Bourdain have any kids? I don't know. If he does, ask them. Do they know what happened? If they do, are they allowed to speak publicly about it? Ask the journalists that went to all those things. What was in their FOIA reports? Do your own FOIA report. Go find out. I'll threaten you with a good time. Send a FOIA report on everything from Columbine to tonight, to last night. Let us know what you get back, how much is redacted, how much was ignored. And that, my friends, is the crux of the whole matter. We're all going to run around. We could do this for years. We could sit here tonight. I'll pass the mic in a minute here, but we could sit here tonight and we could talk about what happened on September 11th of 2021 from 13 different angles or more. And then we could call 13 or more of our colleagues and friends and get even more angles from then. We could literally do a 24-hour show on 9/11. This group right here.
You mean 2001?
Yeah, 2001. Shit. Fuck me. But it's like, what's the point? And I hate to be glib about that, 3,000 people lost their lives that day. And we were given the Patriot Act on the other end of it. And what are these comments that we're seeing? What does that remind you of, Ruckus? Does that look like something that you would have seen in the fucking Patriot Act in 2002?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. As I often do every year for 9/11, I listened to the 8-hour long entire Bill Cooper broadcast from when he was doing his live thing that day. Unfortunately, I can't find an actual clean version of that. The one I always find on YouTube and listen to, it loops multiple times. So at the end of it, you realize, well, it was really only about 5 or 6 hours worth of material. So I know it's out there somewhere, but I can't find it. But it's very fascinating that right from the beginning, Bill Cooper nailed like all of the things. The most important thing that he knew immediately, that no matter what happened, because the news was happening fast and hard and nobody knew what was happening. He knew what was ultimately going to happen is that it was going to result in a loss of our freedoms. And it absolutely did. 100%. He had that on the nose. Of course, he knew pretty early on, he already knew ahead of time, months before, that they were going to start blaming Osama bin Laden. He had a lot of theories that turned out to be correct, except for one of them, interestingly, in case people didn't know. He was quite concerned. He was warning all of the militia, all of the patriots to go underground immediately, because he strongly felt that they were going to be blamed for the events that took place on 9/11. And a lot of militia members, from what I understand, took them seriously. And also, from what I understand, some of them were never heard from again. So either they went very, very underground and decided to stay there, or maybe they had a good reason to do that and they eventually got caught up. And so I had no idea. But that was one of the things he was predicting that I don't think necessarily was true. But ultimately, those people, the patriots, they were ultimately the victims of that, because the general sheeple, the general masses who don't give an F about anything, they just want to live their lives and drink beer and watch football or whatever, to them, who cares? Oh, great. Thanks for taking it. They don't care about that loss like the Patriots would. So the loss of the freedoms was a direct hit, a almost practically mortal wound against the Patriot movement, the truth movement, whatever that stood for was at that time. Was disbanded, destroyed, and completely ruined. And then, of course, we lost so many freedoms and abilities and things with the Patriot Act, which keeps getting fucking renewed all the time. I'm like, don't you think we're past this already? No. Now, we're definitely not past that now.
It was used against the people that were at J6. I mean, if you did not learn your lesson yet, let me be the one to break the news to you, especially if you're a conservative. That act was used to torture those 1,000 to 2,000 people that were in prison for up to 4 years for simply being there in many cases. And we're talking anybody was susceptible. They're probably still I wouldn't be surprised if they're still going after people on some of these, and some of those people still aren't out of the DC gulags. So like, that is the kind of thing that we've also been warning about, and warned about not even 10 years ago when we started ACR, but 14 years ago when we started podcasting together, Ruckus. It's like, we were looking at all this stuff, and to his credit, Alex Jones was a big person in that. Certain other people that we worked with were a big credit to that. That was where we honed these skills and finally got to the point where it was like, okay, we can do this stuff ourselves without, sucking up to someone else's platform.
Yeah, what Bill Cooper said, about patriots and all that, it did eventually come true with targeting of them and naive people who came to realize, like you were just saying, that the very thing that they thought would protect them was used against them. And it also, in retrospect, it makes sense what Cooper was saying about them being blamed, because in the 90s, it's like, what else was there? There was the new enemy became was sort of, that's visualized in Ruby Ridge and Waco and all these, and in Oklahoma City, and the same groups that were blamed on those things. And then this thing sort of swallowed all that up and put it on hold. And then it was later brought back. And, the New York events, 3,000 people died, and then they're still dying every day from the people who went into the thing and, inhaled the
Yeah.
whatever it is, the nanothermite, whatever it is that they inhaled, and the cosmic dust that they inhaled, that there's the slow death, and they haven't done anything for them. And now we have this thing that overtakes that for a younger generation.
Real quick, based plus all the brown people we bombed.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
you're either
Q
with the
Madeline
Turkish-
Albright, right?
Yeah, you're with the Turkish or you're with we hear you, and America hears you. Right, that speech. If you go back, by the way, and watch that W speech in the rubble, it's not quite actually like how it's been mythologized, which is that he gave this, huge, grandiose, like inspirational speech. It's just you can barely hear him in the thing, and he says a couple words, and then it was boosted, ad infinitum. But you guys are right. The thing did change everything. It was a new era. It was truly the end of the 20th century, the end of Cold War, all that stuff, and a new, like a techno war, global war era that began. I was in Europe when it happened. It was 3 days before my 21st birthday. And it was total chaos. Like I couldn't talk to anybody in America for an entire week. I thought it was like the Russians or something did this. Who would do this? This isn't even what hijackings.
You're having like Red Dawn moments over there.
Yeah, like I had to call in a BT phone box because the cell phone wouldn't call internationally, and I'm like, are my parents alive?
Right.
Did
parts of Virginia. Make it? What the fuck happened?
Yeah, the newspapers released these like targets, these potential targets that they were afraid of, and a lot of them were, of course, in Virginia. Military. Industrial factories, the Honeywell factory, Norfolk, like Virginia Beach, all those things were targets. And then they started talking about nukes, and they didn't know what was, like everything was thrown out there. So it was chaos. But this type of thing yesterday that happens, it's like, it's supposed to foment, chaos and confusion as usual. I don't think any of us or anybody watching, we're not confused about, this sort of thing. It's like, it feels so bad because it happens, and my first instinct is like, you sort of take stock and you realize that you don't. It's another event that happens, and you kind of are cold about it, and then time passes, and it's, you have to like not get taken out of your humanity with these things, and I think that's one of the dangers with conspiracy world is that you can get so desensitized to stuff. You have to remember that. That goodness and mercy exist, and that's particularly difficult with like screaming crowds of hellish ghouls like celebrating this shit. But I think we all know to expect that shit. As terrible as it is, but
yeah,
I don't know.
They want that.
Yeah,
it's more valuable for them to have that, and it's very interesting to see, like, well. Kind of in real time, how if you think back 3-4 years ago, like how strict censorship was on these platforms, like you would get your video stripped if you said a couple different, like the wrong word, and everybody had to go around and make up their own lexicon, of jibby jabbies or what, like if your video even mentioned one of those things or called out, case fatality rates or mask efficiency or whatever, like whatever it was, your entire video would get demonetized. And they kind of herded and corralled everybody into, this is how you have to talk around the whole issue while trying to be, giving your take on it, but you can't talk about it. Like you have to talk around the entire issue, and you have to come up with new little catchphrases like Gil Bates, or your video might get demonetized or whatever. But in this one, in this instance, you're seeing a full snuff film in fucking 4K, blood gushing out of some guy's neck, and then within 2 hours, everybody's going full like digital fascism. Senators are supporting it. Laura Loomer's out there. All of the usual suspects are already going with the more, controlled narrative. Like we need more police state, more all of this, more surveillance. If only we could have found this guy. And then your next narrative comes out. I have this since it's nice. This is a local newspaper from the day of. This is a smaller print, but it's actual factual. But this is so if you think about like how long it takes to print, like they would have had to been rolling these out off the presses at 2-3 in the morning the day before or the day of, but to get them on people's doorsteps, you know, at 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. And I mean, there was a lot going on that day, but you already have the injection of certain narratives coming in. And so, like, let's see here. The assaults, which evoked comparisons to Pearl Harbor, were carefully planned and coordinated, occurring within 50 minutes. No one claimed responsibility, but official suspicion quickly fell on Saudi fugitive Osama bin Laden. So
Saudi
somehow,
fugitive.
yeah, Saudi fugitive, and then you've got like the other sub-break. Local Muslims cautious. Police concerned over possibility of backlash against Islamic communities. Like, well, we don't know, like we didn't know about that. But you know, oh, hijackers were trained pilots. Aviation experts say airline crews would die before flying jetliners into a building. Like, ooh, rogue states, ooh, oh, we got the Saudis here. So they already, like, within 12 hours, already had where they were going to take this for the next 4, 5, 10 years indefinitely.
See, dude,
and it's just in print. Like, nobody can take this from me. I mean, unless they break into my house or whatever. But, like, you know, they can't scrub the article. It's all right here. And they, like, are literally showing you in real time where they want the narrative to go, where they want to take this. They do want to stoke, like, oh, yeah, we're worried about local Muslims, while every fucking TV show leading up to 9/11 was anti-Muslim. And then after that, you had
they hate us for our freedoms.
Yeah, every single TV show was Muslim terrorists for years, while being like, oh, don't persecute them, but here's the bad guys. Woohoo, they're Muslim, you know, or like whatever country was.
They did this because we let our women drive cars.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, it's so ridiculous. I just can't. I don't know, man. It's
one of the
so
things
sad.
I've used on the Google is to pull up maps.
I have filters on internets.
That was another interesting thing that I noticed during the visit back with the Bill Cooper broadcast, is that he immediately called out that bullshit about how there were some early reports happening from the mainstream media in America only, pushing this narrative that Palestinians were running out in the streets celebrating right then and there after the towers went down. And BBC, he read from a BBC article, and he had to give props to the BBC for the ones that came out and were like, hey, these reports you hear are not true. And they did a full report about, you know, talk to, you know, the Palestinians and all that stuff. But yeah, but I was like, man, these mother effers, they were pushing that stuff way back then, huh? And that was before I was on that level of understanding geopolitics and all of that stuff. But
I mean, you know, we have been, at least I have been, and some of us here at Alternate Current Radio have been critical of Charlie Kirk and his Israel analysis. But when I look at just his age, you know what I mean? Like, I'm fucking 50. And if I was 31, no, when I was 31, when I was 27, I was, you know, not all that far from the indoctrination of being forced to watch Schindler's List and all this other stuff during school, and fully never even considered that my teachers, my elders, my history books, my media would lie to me about something as important as World War II. I wasn't around when World War II happened, but I have, you know, grandparents and people that were affected by it, and my parents affected by the way that, you know, my grandparents came out of that, and so do a lot of you. And it's like, you know, I have a large sliver of my heart that is pure forgiveness for Charlie for the things that I disagree with him about. And I think that with time, and maybe even before he died, in his heart of hearts, he knew something was wrong about this thing. And one of the most disgusting things I've seen is something that both Ruckus and Patrick Henningsen have posted, and I also had bookmarked, is Rabbi Shmuley's take on Charlie Kirk's passing, you know? And like, I honestly don't even think I want to play it. You know, I'll put it on the show notes if anyone wants to watch it. But
Is
it's
this
just
his
like,
GoFundMe?
dude, so bad,
Dude.
so bad. Like, just
Can you not be an opportunist money grubber for a day, my guy?
and to make it all.
Like-
And what he's doing, what Shmuley is doing, is he's doing the same thing that we are telling people to be cautious of, which is gravitating to towards one of these narratives that are completely unprovable, unproven, and whatnot. Like I could have a much harsher analysis, but I will save it for Nick Fuentes. You know, I have fire in my heart when it comes to how I feel about Shmuley's post. But all I can say is what he's doing is the exact same that both sides of the mainstream media are doing and the most rank conspiracy channels are doing, which is gravitating towards the narrative that fits his confirmation bias the tightest and his talking points the tightest and using it as content. And I think that is so disgusting. And we've talked about all the ways in which we think this guy is disgusting. I've interviewed him. He hung up on me, if I recall. He and Alan Dershowitz are the two people that have hung up on me on today's News Talk when we were there. So
shout out to the live California viewers right now. It's 9:11 p.m.
Oh shit. And it's 11:11 here over here, which is also noteworthy. Well,
yeah, that's always noteworthy for me.
Yeah, what is that? Okay. Anyways, I picked up a book in a used bookstore when I was in college, and it was called 11:11. And I'll be very honest with you, I never read it, but I had one of those things with that time where it was like I was one of those people that would see that time all the time, and it was you'd end up in that feedback loop of like, okay, I noticed that. That's the thing.
It's just one page. It says "Make a wish," and then it's just blank pages for you to fill it
Right?
in.
It's like The Secret. Make a wish. Your thoughts become things. Anyways, how fucking weird, you know. And last week in the notes, I honestly can't remember if I talked about this on air or not. Maybe one of you guys can remind me, but we talked about how this week, actually, today, Tucker Carlson Network, TCN, was putting out a new expose on 9/11 that was supposed to reveal to us new secrets. And of course, none of the four of us are paying for that network. Sorry. Fuck off. No, thank you. Why would I do that? But
yeah, I heard of a clip that he released of it.
well, yeah, he had a clip promoting it, and I intended to play it last week. I may have, I may not. I don't know. It's probably the beer's fault, but I'm curious to know what came out today to those that pay for the channel. Was it yet another interview with Richard Gage? Did he come out of the closet as a Judy Wood supporter? Like, I mean, where do you go with 9/11 and how?
I think he began with his take on the 9/11, like the investigation.
Yeah, the NIST report being bullshit, basically.
Yeah.
Tell us something Jason Burmis didn't tell us
Right.
15, 20 years ago. Okay. That's my comment to that. Like that whole lead up to that thing, I'm like, okay, dude, tell me something I don't fucking know already. Tell me something that Ruckus Whitebird, myself, Jay, many people, probably Baze, yourself, all here in the boiler room, were already hip to over a decade ago. I mean, please tell me some Whitebird, jump in here. Like, tell me something fucking new, Tucker. What are you going to tell me?
You get a bigger cul-de-sac. That's what you get. That's it. It's just going to be more of the same shit and like conspiracy candy, as you call it, and the same talking points, but the same like media narrative remains the same. Like it. I don't know, man. I guess I'm not going to pay money for that either. I'm not a fan of Tucker. I'm not going to lie.
We got to wait a few days, and then the plebs, the unwashed plebs, can have
I guess we'll watch it on the Pirates stream or some shit. I don't know, but like, there's so much low hanging fruit and strings that could have been pulled after the get go, like insider trading, all of that weird stuff. Like, you know, NIST report set aside of like the steel frame structure collapsing, like. what about like all of the security companies, all of the weird, people trying to buy out, the security rights to the towers in the lead up, but like then you can't just buy the security for the World Trade Center because it's also tied to the New York and New Jersey Port Authority. And then that opens a whole other nest of, evil. And then you got like what's Jared Kushner's dad was running the New Jersey Port Authority at the time. So like, it's like a cast of like career criminals that go to jail, get pardoned, and come back out and go back into a similar position or right next to like a company just adjacent to that are still going to be managing that thing on the day that it all went down. And it's like, there's a ball of wax you could try and undo, Tucker. Are you going to do that? Or are we going to talk about like some Saudi passports? Like, I don't even know what he's talking about. I wouldn't give him my shekels. I give 0 F's about Tucker, so like, unless it's, I mean, what could it possibly be that's going to be earth shattering? It's just going to be like probably a Van Jones nothing burger, and then the idiots that paying for it are like, oh, this is hard hitting stuff. Oh, Tucker knocked it out of the park. Look at that. I found another passport that didn't fucking burn into flames when it fell from a 300-foot window. Man, goddamn, Tucker, I gotta give
You're
you
just telling me they carted away the rubble right away?
Dude,
What?
Yeah. What about the companies that got the contracts for removing the steel? 2 Israelis? Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
They were both getting out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy,
The
and then they
E-teams.
get a no bid contract to remove all that steel. A no bid contract
And
in fucking New Jersey and New York. Are you kidding me?
And to
Like-
circle back to the icebreaker that Spore brought us in with, it's like, we're, oh shit, what was the icebreaker? Shit, I just forgot. I just ate shit.
The
in
weird
my brain
anomaly.
there. What?
The weird anomalies.
But what was the particular weird anomaly she brought up? It was something Alex Jones was pointing at.
Oh shit! Wow.
See?
Brain fart.
Yeah. All right. I'm sorry. It's contagious. It's contagious brain fart. But
Mandela effect going on. Everybody in the audience, you got to drink.
yeah, seriously. Well, that might be my problem, but we'll just.
Was it the Able Danger War Game simulation going live? Was it the?
It's the backdating on the articles.
Oh,
and the
I know what it was.
book.
I know what it was. I just remembered. So, with this thing that just happened, what we came in with, Spore brought us in with, was people pointing out, hey, there was a book that was published on Amazon the night before Charlie Kirk's death that said, it's called The Death of Charlie Kirk. And we also have somewhere in my insane amount of bookmarks here, I have a TikTok video that was harvested where somebody threatened Charlie Kirk and basically said, hey, this is going to happen tomorrow. With 9/11, so there's a correlation to 9/11. That's what I was going to draw there. With 9/11, it was the BBC posting a video saying that Building 7 has come down. But it was like 23 minutes before it came down, and you can see Building 7 standing behind them.
I was watching that live in Britain.
See? To add to the confusion that you had, and then the lack of communications on top of that. I mean, just imagine that. And also seeing people jumping out of that building. And hitting the ground from
the visceral visual thing, right?
Yeah, that's part of the collective trauma that they have to keep replaying to make it hit home to every housewife in suburban America.
Or the fireman team walking into Building 7 and talking about how the things had been set and it was about to come down. Everybody evacuate.
Yep. They told them to get past the white line. There's that. Those got scrubbed. They're still out there. They still float around. There's so many things.
The interview on the street with who was it? It was like the radio host guy. The interview on the street talking about it while the men in black are right behind him, the men in suits. Do you remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh yeah, they heard explosions happening, and then the men in black put his hand on his shoulder, and he's like, never mind, we got to get it.
They don't know. Yeah, you can see them flip flopping like that sort of I've referred to it as a taxonomy many times because I'm a database person in a former life. So that taxonomy that we use to look at a highly politicized event that could be a number of different things that we are aware that we'll probably never get real reporting on.
Remember James Woods saying he was on the
Yeah,
test flight exactly a week before and he reported it?
dude. James, he's one person, like, and that's the other thing. There were certain people.
Seth MacFarlane.
Seth MacFarlane, yeah, like the Matt and
Missed
Trey
my
from
flight.
South Park are probably going to get pulled into this sort of conversation now. I mean, how can they not? And you know, again, to someone's point earlier, like a friend of ours asked Charlie what he thought of the South Park episode, and he loved it. Like he would be disappointed that it's no longer there. I think.
Well,
I mean,
it will be comedy that brings us together because remember after the Big Nine, they decided to do SNL again. It was Will Ferrell's the skit in his American flag underwear, and that suddenly brought us all back together as Americans.
yeah.
That's what they said.
And I mean, the episode is brilliant. I mean, I can't believe I got Ruckus over here to watch it. It's probably the first TV he's watched in 20 years, and it's like short of one drunken night where I made him watch Love Island with us, but that doesn't really count. But it's like to have.
Is it the Bret Michaels show?
No. It's we've surpassed
sorry.
Rock of Love at this point.
Okay, yeah.
We're in a different universe now, my friend.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
You would blush.
It's a great Norm Macdonald skit.
It was like Real World
Rock
meets
Love.
TikTok meets OnlyFans on acid.
Yes. But
remember Norm Macdonald playing Bret Michaels? I saw this woman and she had that super hoary look in her eyes. I've seen a lot of those women with that hoary look, and I thought you're one. This is you're very special. Kind. Yeah, you're one of a kind. You're like love. You're a rock because a rock is like love.
Every rose, baby, it's got a thorn. No, but to have like such a brilliant episode by Matt and Trey about that, you know, the whole thing was really not so much about Charlie Kirk, although he was a great vehicle to sort of.
Wait, hold on. Let me interject real quick. Remember how that episode ended? Didn't it end with who was it Cartman playing Charlie Kirk, and then at the end of the episode, didn't he? Right.
He got dragged out because his mom dragged him out of the awards because Clive, the other podcaster who stole his shtick. You know, I've been joking with our friend who knows both Matt, Trey, and Charlie about this over text for the last couple of weeks. How funny it is, you know, and this is just such a weird confluence of events because for me, like you guys, I don't watch Charlie Kirk stuff. I don't watch Steven Crowder stuff. Maybe here and there over the years, you know, short clips, whatever. But if anything, if we're watching them, we're kind of criticizing them over here in the boiler room in many cases. And I'll stand by whatever I said, probably, you know, but it's like so fucking bizarre to me that like just had these conversations with our friend who's mutual friends of both Matt and Trey and Charlie and talked with Ruckus and Spore about this the other night. It's like, this is just too fucking bizarre.
I learned today my buddy's girlfriend worked for him for 3 years. And you know, worked at, of all places, worked at is it Turning Point?
TP, yeah, Turning Point USA,
yeah. And worked under him for 3 years, pretty closely, and then just saw this happen.
Dude, the people, I don't mean to interrupt you. Don't forget where you were, but the people that I know that have worked with him, like, even though, you know, obviously, again, caveat, we disagree with him on some of the things, at least I do. He's at least been a humble and nice person to the people that he works with. And a lot of the people in sort of that alpha tier of influencers, podcasters, and politicians, and that whole the Mar-a-Lago circle, if you will. Sorry to use another South Parkian imagery there, but that Mar-a-Lago circle, like, you know, he was one of the people in it that was genuinely nice to the people around him, whereas a lot of the people in that are, a little more vapid.
Does this seem like it? I mean, from a meta perspective, like it would be better. Like, say if you're trying to corral divisiveness in the U.S., like this person would be better left, like better dead and more useful to the cause than somebody that keeps on living and thinking and debating. Like if you could, think about it like in a snapshot, like everything that he encapsulates up until this point, he can't do anymore. So up until that point, he's not criticizing anything. He's not going against Trump. He's not questioning sketchy events that happened in early October a few years back. Like if you keep his repertoire up to a point, then he still checks all of the boxes for like the the Shapiros and the Zog, influencers, and to that point. And like, you can't have somebody going against that whole narrative because there's so much money and so many people invested in that sort of thing that it would be a big detriment if somebody then turned against you and you could become a loose cannon. And if somebody that's open into like free debate, then debating the people that he used to keep in his stable of the cul-de-sac, so to speak, then you start scratching the surface of what really people want to talk about. Like, why are we still talking about campus politics in 2025? Like,
Right? Like the whole like prove me wrong. That was one of the like things that South Park was ripping on, was the whole like woke is dead now. What are you doing? And the whole like, owning college girls and 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds is
it's only
like
getting worse.
child's play.
It hasn't,
because
it hasn't
the college
gone away.
the college campus is also the stage. It's like always the stage for the front lines of whatever the political flashpoint is going to be. It continues to be so with the Middle East thing.
Yeah.
And at the very least, I think that regardless of whatever the intentions were with this, the outcome is that you had a guy who was like very extremely visible. He was, friendly to like Boomer TV. He was often on Fox and stuff. He's like 6'7". He's very visible, and he was a moderate, like, a debater with like takes that were pretty easy for like those people to swallow, and that this divides people and shows them that by silencing him, by eliminating him, that the thing he was engaged in, which was debate and like interaction with people that were on the other side of that, it seems that it solidifies that like there's no point in that anymore. There's no
Right.
there's no discussion, there's no commonality, no discussion, that these people are ghoulish people.
Yeah.
And it also makes you realize that other people on his tier, I'm sorry that this was him, and I'm also, I wonder, and I'm glad that I'm also glad that there was no one else. But it makes you wonder, like, what if this had been one of the other people in his tier? If this had happened to, for instance, if Fuentes' character, the reaction would be completely different. It would, in tone, in every way. I mean, you have the president announce the guy's death, and I'm thankful that it wasn't any of the people that we know that are engaged in debate publicly. My friend Rachel Wilson, whose husband Andrew is big. He's very big and he's very visible, and he does public debates. And I'm immediately, I thought of him. I'm thankful that it wasn't him. I'm sorry that it was Charlie Kirk. The symbolism is so rife. Right. I was just at that event last weekend with Jay giving a public speech, and it brings, there's so many people in there. It brings to mind that, like, what if an insane maniac comes in here? What's going to happen?
Let me put something on screen here, because this brings up something I definitely did not want to leave out tonight. Our friends over here at the Quartering make a post that I completely understand, I completely resonate with, right? They say, this is in caps, do not watch the close-up video of Charlie Kirk. I'm begging you, pray for his family instead. Okay? I get it. But our other friend, Sam Hyde, made a post that I thought was worth highlighting about that. It says, You're my boy, but I respectfully disagree. Everybody needs to watch this because it could have been you. It could have been me. It could have been any of us exercising the First Amendment. You all need to know what our enemies want. They want this for all of us. They want children growing up with dead fathers and raped mothers. All the snark and word games, moral posturing, and linguistic faggotry, this is what lies behind it. Bloodlust. And I just thought that was so powerful because, like, I shared the video, the close-up video in my Signal group with Ruckus and a number of other colleagues, to include Spore, and I put a warning on it. Like, I don't know what else to do beyond that. Like, this is horrible footage. This is someone actually losing their life's blood out of their neck. And I understand both sides of that argument. Personally, I lean more towards Sam Hyde's take on it because, unfortunately, this is where we're at. They got us right where they want us, at each other's throats, which is tonight's show title.
I agree with that in the sense that, we don't need the moral bastion of the government of all people, taking this kind of thing down. I don't like that, the thought of, like, my family members seeing this sort of thing. They don't need to see it, but certainly, certainly, we
need to be able to choose to see it or not in the right locations that are adult oriented, not just this, like, hey, it's on X all day, and now we're going to start banning people from coming into the country and, jailing people for talking about it and this kind of crap. It's like, no, these are the fruits of your fucking labor's global government. These are the fruits of your labor, FBI, CIA, whoever the fuck it is behind some of this bullshit that we're seeing. I don't care. It's foreign. Maybe it's foreign. Do me a favor. Make me smile. Tell me it's foreign intelligence instead of intelligence and law enforcement federally that our tax dollars are paying for. Do me a fucking favor. All right. Be honest with us. But the fact that you won't, and we know that you won't, means that the conspiracy theories will rage on, and that these two opposing views that I just highlighted, the one that doesn't want to see extreme violence and death, and the one that wants to make sure everyone sees it because that's what is in design, in plan for people that go against the narrative, that has to stop.
The Charlotte event that, like, foreshadowed this and seemed to prepare everybody for it in some weird way, is also something that, they immediately took down, for the reasons that we can probably imagine, because we saw the perpetrator. But, like, my sister, for instance, is way more upset about that. If you can be more upset about one or the other, but is even more upset about that because you see this poor girl who's doing nothing and sitting on a bus and then is losing her life, like, alone and scared, and people are just, walking by. They probably don't even realize what has just happened. And these two things, both in the neck, are just indicative of this, like, hyper real acceleration period that we live in. And if anything, I think show people, especially with families, that, like, you would be insane to get on public transit in major metropolitan areas, like, or let your family do that without you, and not, just assume that people around you, strangers around you, are maniacal, like goblins. Our friend Maddie, Digital Minefield, Real Cooter Brown, shouts out to him, was just talking to me about, in the Charlotte area, like, driving past some of these places. And it's like open air insane asylum. It's like the same exact people just walking around, like, screaming at their shadow, like, and stabbing their own, head of their own shadow on the sidewalk. And that's just nothing's done. It's just normal. And, like, the city is the insane asylum. They closed them down and now it's everywhere. And 2020 happens and those people are weaponized. And now this.
Yeah.
right? Like yet another, what you just pointed out is perfect. Yet another reason why after Las Vegas, I decided, hey, this level of research we're doing on some of these events is no longer feasible. It's no longer of the value that it used to be, because there's no solving it. There's no fucking solving it. And it should be real simple. It should be a matter of patience and a functional legal and judicial system and law enforcement system doing its constitutional duty and bringing us to a natural endpoint. And then the information being made available to the public about how that all happened.
But they're attempting to be transparent with this. Transparent. Right? Didn't they announce they had a perpetrator? Right? They had that boomer in Crocs. Like, this looks like the guy.
They had two. They had two of them, and they turned out to both be like almost too obviously like distractions, right? Like, oh, take me to jail, take me to jail. So you got the boomer white guy who turns out to be a Jewish guy, if what some of these guys are saying is correct on X. And then you got this other guy.
I'm here to protest healthcare.
Yeah.
Best they got.
Yeah. So they went through that guy, which they gave us immediately. Then they had another guy, which they kind of gave us a little bit later. And now they're saying it's a younger guy who took a position on a roof. And I can bring up that Steven Crowder thing if you want, but it's a younger guy who took a position on a roof, took the one shot, left through the woods, left a Remington 700, I think, in the woods, and disappeared from there. But somebody's, a number of people's Ring cameras picked up pictures of him, and then some of the shady X accounts start asking Grok to clarify the pictures, sharpen the pictures, turn them into videos, and now everybody's on the lookout for something that Grok and Amazon Ring have created, which is a new twist. This is, it's hard to put
find the
something
guy
new
at a McDonald's like with a mask on, in a backpack. I'm going to be, it'll be a little too much.
So it's already confirmed it happened on the roof. If it was a bolt action 700 and he fired one shot, did he just decide to rechamber it and then the spent cartridge went out with his trans engravings on it?
No. They're claiming, I have this link somewhere.
Because this is where it runs into so many silly impossibilities. It's like, we all think immediately like Matt Damon, the Bourne series where he's got this 10-part gun that he gets onto the rooftop and he snaps that part onto it and snaps this.
Michael Fassbender's the killer.
Yeah, it's just like if this is an old-fashioned, Remington or Mauser, that shit's almost 3.5, 4 feet tall. How the fuck did you get that into the building? How did you get onto the roof? How did you know where the roof access was? There's usually a hatch with a padlock on it. So did you know that there was going to be roof maintenance that day and you knew where they were going to set the tent up perfectly? And so you had to be on that section of the second deck of the lower roof. Yeah, that guy, dude, really?
Maliker Carcano.
Okay. Yeah. It's just this is.
Okay. Look.
It's got the detachable barrel with the music playing, and it's dude, come on.
There's a lot of traffic on a college campus. There's a lot of foot traffic, a lot of people going around,
Right. But knowing where the roof access is on probably a TPO membrane roof, they have a locked hatch with the steel cover with the fire ladder that goes up with the safety latch and then the other safety pole that goes up. If you've ever done roof maintenance and stuff, you have to know where that security closet is on the roof to begin.
You do, but consider, in contrast, that they had a guy just go up a ladder on top of where the cops were headquartered at a presidential event and do the same thing. I mean, it's just people.
That one's another one where then you had he brought a ladder and he shimmied up and then barrel crawled. So they haven't even brought out the ladder narrative. So that's part of my thing is you need to clarify this. Did he get up through a roof hatch or did homie also pack a ladder onto the scene like that?
That's
the Trump
thing.
One. Because that one is nobody saw you with a fucking 20-foot telescoping ladder, and then you just throw that shit up and then commando crawl out there. And there's like random people with their phones taking video of this, but this one, it's like you're on top of a very large structure, multi-tiered roofs. You knew preemptively where the tent was going to be set up, and you're shooting down into a pavilion with a tent. He's inside of it on a mini stage raised, and so his head would be up from the vantage point, so you would have to be on the second roof, not the third roof. You know, like there's so many. Oh, they found the gun in the woods, like, and he had like a used candy wrapper with like a part, like they're saying there's a foreprint smudge or a forearm print on the side of the gun from where he held it, and it's just like,
dude,
what the fuck? Okay, well,
first off, like that rabbit hole you just went down right there is exactly the point of that I'm trying to make here tonight. Like, we should not have to worry about all those like specific details, but you, like I am used to thinking about those specific details because we're used to this information not being given to us at the end of an investigation and a narrative rollout, right? So like, I look at this gun and I'm like, this is a hunting rifle. All right. This is a basic bitch 308 or 30-06 hunting rifle with a basic, a decent OEM setup and a decent OEM low resting variable optic. Okay. Like, this is something that could totally make that shot. And I would need to know more about the angle, the distance, the height, the ballistics. And that's not shit we should have to guess about. That's shit that we should expect to become available to us at the end of a decent arrest, investigation, litigation, sentencing, and then later, release to journalism. And that's what we never fucking get. And this gun, I have a hard time believing that that person that they've made grok images of showed up with this gun and did this. I will admit that. This gun is capable of it. Anybody with a few days of training is capable of it. It's not impossible. And that's going to piss a lot of people off for me to say, but it's fucking true.
Right. I sent you the schematic of what we're going with right now. You can look at the photo link there.
All right. Yeah.
So if they're already saying that this is where it's at, this is a massive campus, a massive complex. Shooter would have had to known prior where the tent was set up. And then it's like kind of a mini amphitheater. And if you look at the videos, there's crowd all around that. So he's shooting down over the top of the head of all these people standing there in the little mini amphitheater, and he's inside of a little tiny tent on a raised platform inside of that with like a sun loop like visor around it. So like, that's already a hard shot. Yeah, we could hit a billet from 150 meters, especially with those optics, right?
Is it though? Like, Whitebird, check it out. Hold on 1 second here. Let me just pause you right there and say,
It's
like,
a turkey shoot.
If you were there the night before and the tent was set up the night before, and you were on top of that building and you were able to sight in your scope to the pavilion,
it's not impossible. I'm not saying that, but it's just like, this is a lone wolf, because this is how it's usually going to go. It's a lone wolf with no help, because that's the way these always go. You can't have multiple people, otherwise there's an organization and then there's a larger investigation. It's like, we want to kill this tranny girl that switches her shoes halfway through the shooting, and then you're not supposed to look at that, and then we'll talk about whether or not we should release the manifesto to keep people titillated for 3 weeks,
or like make it such that some unnamed agent like slips the manifesto to Steven Crowder. Like, that's how we got the last one, quite literally. And Alex Jones was boasting about one he got from that Seraphim guy, I forget his name, just gave him a bunch of information. It was on the day Owen quit the show. Like, there was a whole thing that coalesced around that, and I looked that guy's name up, and lo and behold, he's in the middle of a big legal battle against the FBI. And I'm like, okay, cool. So someone who's in a legal battle with the FBI over, like, I don't know, whatever the fuck he said online, is sending information to, you know, Alex Jones, and Alex Jones is interrupting Owen's Schroyer show, and then they have a big breakup over it. It's just like, what the fuck is going on here, you guys? Like multiple people like that guy with, you know, and I'm not passing judgment on him, but you know, it is a little bit questionable to be in the middle of being sued by the ATF and the FBI and shit like that, to be passing information along to InfoWars. I mean, do you have a lawyer? Did your lawyer approve that behavior? I don't understand what's going on. But I take your point, Whitebird. Like, and you know, you're employing the techniques that we've used for years here. This is the kind of stuff that we did with Stephen Paddock. It's like, okay, how many rounds were shot at what height, at what distance? You know what I mean? Like we started getting down in the weeds with that.
Yeah.
Like, and now that's one of the things that internet sleuths and mommy bloggers do. And we can just sit here and watch their little TikToks and shit like that and look at their graphics and just go, okay, cool. But to me, the like sick part is there's no confirmation at the end. We don't have access to police reports, the autopsies, all that stuff. Like there.
Can I
Yeah, go
throw
ahead,
in
man. Go
one
ahead.
more wrench into this whole thing? Because it is 2025. Let us not forget that this year started off, and for quite a while, the momentum was going where one thing after another were actual finally things where we were like, well, shit, did not see that coming, right? There were a lot of those things happening very early on.
Like the burning Tesla in front of the Trump Tower?
I was just going to bring up the damn Tesla, and actually, just before the close of the previous year, we were just talking about this on a Discord call. Photon was talking about this with me earlier today. The drones, we had the whole weird, mysterious drones thing,
And the
There were
balloons too before that.
yeah, there was all this kind of shit going on, and so I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like there's another shoe waiting to drop with this thing, because it's like all the things, even though they're weird, it's all too obvious. Like we could sit here and we could be like, yeah, here's what they're going to do, and we would normally probably be right? But I think they're going to throw us a curveball. I really, really do. I'm just calling it. I don't know what that could be, obviously, because it's going to be something where we're going to be like, well, shit, did not see that coming.
I do too, dude. And I feel like it comes back to what we've talked about a few times that I've been thrown around and others in here, that like we're sort of witnessing the putting a bow on all the old conspiracies and getting ready for them to come faster and more furious. Like no more talk about Epstein, no more talk about 9/11, no more talk about JFK. We did our best. Trump came in, he released some extra documents, you know, have fun with those. Oh, but Charlie Kirk just got assassinated in front of us all, and his wife and his kids had to watch it. And now it's like an internet snuff film, and that's horrible. And they try to have a vigil for him in certain places, and it turns into, you know, political violence because people come in, want to gloat about it. Who are all those people? And then we got the BLM and Antifa accounts. I got receipts for this too. I'll put them on the show page if I can, saying, you know, hey, these people should be next. And people are looking at each other, like people like some of the names we've mentioned tonight, saying, oh shit, you know, I've been put on a list.
Yeah. Ben Shapiro canceled his college tours. Like
I would be
today,
thinking
I
pretty
believe.
hard about it right now if I was one of those people, you know? I
The
feel
chilling
like
effect is already happening.
I know.
And
You
that's
see
that also.
you see the HBCUs shut down today?
What's
The historically black colleges and universities, a bunch of them
no
shut
shit.
down because of threats. Yeah, there's one right near me that was totally shut down. I think there's like 7 or 8 of them that shut down because of supposed threats.
Is this after the wake of the Ukrainian stabbing? Okay.
Well,
yeah.
and
No,
Charlie Kirk
this is
too.
from yesterday.
Yeah, no, there are literally
Some
Antifa.
school bang bangs happened already too.
Yeah, we've had was it Annapolis? There was a military school. There was one in, was it Colorado or somewhere? I can't even remember the other one. Like 2 school events, the Charlie Kirk event. I mean, And by the way, the royal palace in Nepal is burning right now. Like we're missing all kinds of geopolitics. Like there's crazy shit going on in Nepal. There's
Yeah,
crazy shit
a
going
coup
on in
being
other
led by
countries.
a young, charismatic guy compared to having a voice like
Right.
Hotler.
Right. Yep. Germany, just like what, six people from one party assassinated or died suddenly. Sorry, died suddenly. I mean,
France
Some
is having
people are
assassination.
saying
issues.
it's a very big party, though, so it might be statistically
Yeah.
feasible. But their initial shit I saw was like, there's a red flag there. Just to, I mean, I guess I'll shut up in a second because this guy checked all the boxes, though, as far as like doing the establishment thing. Like, never went against all of these things. He went, like I said earlier, went to the Wailing Wall, went, never touched these rails. Like, if they're going to get rid of these sort of people, I would have always thought it would be somebody that would be more controversial or whatever. But if you're going to start getting rid of like the milk toast debate me bros, that have definitely a bigger share of the online eyeballs, this kind of sets like a very interesting dialectical talking shop going forward. And like I said, I don't really know much about him other than the circles that he's in. Seems like a kind of normal, Jordan Peterson tier talking points about leftist ideologies and that sort of thing.
Well, he's a normal Christian guy with a family, and his name is literally Church.
Yeah,
Kirk is
and
Church.
and basically a guy who, forgive me, this might offend somebody, but Charlie Kirk, in my opinion, is a classic liberal. The things that
Like an
Charlie
old
Kirk
school.
said are the same things that Obama and Clinton said. So the fact that someone who, the only like thing astray of that is his Christianity and the way that he leaned into his Christianity, and I have, whatever, no problem with that. Like we have, that's part of our constitutional right. Like we have to have that here. But like if you look at the policies that he talked about, and you go back and you look at Bill Clinton, and you go back and you look at even Hillary Clinton and Obama in certain years, they'll say things that are like exactly what people like Charlie Kirk have said. Like he is not, you know what I mean? Like when
It's
I
so wild. The
post,
left says that he's a far
Far
right
right.
firebrand and all this stuff. It's like the
dude,
total. Anybody who knows anything, it's like the total opposite.
dude, no, you got to go all the way to, on the like serious side today, to like Nick Fuentes to like point to that kind of shit. And on the jokey side, I posted that, I showed that thing and I read that thing from Sam Hyde. On the jokey side, you know what I mean? Like there's a comedy aspect to what Sam Hyde does. And what he said there was so poignant. This could have been me. This could have been you. Everybody needs to see where we're at right now. I'm paraphrasing that last part, but he's
Shouts out to Sam's writer, Sam Hyde Show's writer.
yeah,
Dyer.
man. That's right. That's right. Word to your mother.
You mean he doesn't use grok?
But like, I hesitate to even share this one, but to the point that was just made here, I'm gonna share it because this is one of those things. It's been how many times has this been shared? Let me look. 81.4 thousand views, 590 reposts, 2.3 thousand likes. Okay, so this is Dan Cohen's take. Dan Cohen has been on shows that I've produced. Dan Cohen has been on Sunday Wire with Patrick Henningsen. We've had some great discussions, and his take on this might hurt some people's feelings, but it echoes some things that people were feeling. All right, it's in the zeitgeist. I didn't write it, okay? So if it hurts your feelings, I'm sorry, but in the spirit of covering as much of this as we can, Dan Cohen 3000 writes, Charlie Kirk was not an independent thinker nor a man of principles. He was a Republican Party influencer responsible for keeping young conservative minds on the official MAGA trademark reservation flush with money from billionaires. He not only supported the Gaza genocide all along, but dutifully spread the key deception, 40 beheaded babies, to initiate it. He provides a link there. He goes on. When Israel bombed the Bibas family and lied about it, Kirk spread the official lie that Hamas killed them. And then he provides a receipt. That could have been the incident that turned American public opinion fully against the genocide, but Kirk did as he was told. Those are a few of many examples. Kirk was not a man of conviction, but a highly placed asset, reading the script he was handed by his masters, and surely made a huge sum of money doing so. His late tepid criticism of Israel was not genuine, but a necessity to maintain the illusion that the split among the MAGA base on the U.S. support for Israel is reflected in the Republican Party itself. If he had not gently questioned Israel, he would have lost credibility, and the MAGA masses might have realized they've been duped by the permanent war uniparty and are being led down the same dark path that progressives were taken by Obama. None of that, of course, justifies his murder, which I abhor and condemn in the strongest possible terms. X and all social media are military-grade social engineering theaters with coordinated scripted actors in place to control the narrative. That's probably the most important sentence in there. Yeah. Inorganic activity is often indistinguishable from organic activity. There is very little known about Kirk's assassination, but on X, the key narratives are going viral that 1, a deranged leftist killed him, and 2, Israel killed him. All of these could be true, but evidence simply isn't there. The rampant and viral speculation isn't a bug of the system, it's a feature. This serves to generate fear and chaos as our ruling class and their puppets seek to inflame artificial divisions of race and political current in order to pit Americans against each other and thus make us easier to rule. The primary medium for that is this very platform. I'm reading from X, if you're listening to the audio podcast. The fact that these narratives are featured so prominently on X should make you even more skeptical of them. Don't take the bait.
Damn.
That hits for me, dudes. I don't know about you, but like,
I think you made my point after me rambling for like 8 minutes and did it in one post. So
did he use Grok for that? That was very succinct. And, I feel like, again, I have a lot of forgiveness for Charlie personally and, his young age and his feelings on Israel and the unfortunate confluence of timing of October 7 and him becoming a more and more prominent influencer with more and more income coming at him, more and more staff coming at him, but that latter part of that statement is so fucking spot on. Like, I wouldn't have the guts to say some of the things that Dan said there about Charlie personally, just because I'm like super forgiving, but that don't take the bait. The fact that, let me read this again, the fact that the primary medium for that is this very fucking platform. The fact that these narratives are featured so prominently on X should make you even more skeptical of them. Don't take the bait. That, I think, I will resonate and I will say is, the underlying theme to tonight's They Got Us Right Where They Want Us, at each other's throats.
Yeah, that kind of sums up a little bit what I was saying earlier when you couldn't talk about case fatalities or morbidity or any of the jibby jabbies for a while and every post was taken down. But yet now you're allowed to see, violence and then people promoting violence and elected officials promoting other people to do violence is allowed to stay on there and somehow isn't violating the terms of service. Everybody should be questioning for sure.
Yeah. I mean, we're just talking about this in the back chat with Bazed, and I guess I'll just stop typing and say it, like, People are getting their streams removed, you know, and in typical fashion, like, we don't, I mean, maybe there's a different answer to this. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm going to guess that we don't know what term it was. We don't know what exactly got someone's stream removed. Violation of terms and service, blah, 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 ellipse, dot, dot, dot. You know, where is the third rail today? Where was it yesterday? Where will it be tomorrow? You know, it's like whack-a-mole, right? Based.
Yeah, it is. And I think that, you know, you guys have mentioned about how they can, you know, go back retroactively and remove things, you know, with newly banned terms. We do have to be careful of those things. And it sucks because, you know, we want to be able to, we have to use, you know, infantile terms like Gil Bates and stuff to talk about things. This isn't a danger because, I mean, you know, it's the people gloating over the stuff. That's one of the violations, right? And I mean, you guys were just talking about and reading the tweet and stuff about Charlie Kirk. I think that a lot of that can be summarized in the fact that in the world, most people, I guess, like audibly and visibly do not have discernment. And you can see when an event like this occurs that most people want to go to the person that is their hero to find, you know, their take on the thing. I think that what speaks to I guess integrity of this audience is that most people, I think, who come here witness an event like this, and it's like, it's another thing. We know the hallmarks, we know the signs, we know what is probably going to be the outcome, we know the reasons for such, and we know, you know, what the reaction will be. All those things are just like repeat. It's just repeat every time. That doesn't make it any less horrible and totally visceral and visible. I think it's almost like a red herring in a way to spend time looking for, you know, the shooter and where he went and all that in a way, because we've seen this so many times. And it's like, I'm not black-pilled about it, but I just have a feeling like that if they're not going to catch the guy, he's gone if he was a professional, and that the guy that they do catch, if they catch one, is going to be the patsy. You know, wait for the patsy. I mean, the stuff with the carvings on the gun is weird. We saw that with the Navy Yard shooter. We saw that with the school a couple weeks ago, you know, with the whole, like, you know, edited video that was released at the same time, which has a whole bunch of other weird stuff. I mean, that is so crazy in itself. But those are all like visible things. Well, if this is like the guy's gone and everyone's gone, they can't find anybody, why would it include those things if it weren't visible? Does that make sense? Unless that's the curveball, unless that's a new thing. The Catholic school shooting from a couple weeks ago, I think, should not be memory hold or you know, easily forgotten. I recently, just the other night, I watched this horrible movie called Weapons that's out right now. And, you know, not to do a movie analysis, but it was so evil and so horrible because the children are the weapons, and it's witchcraft and all this stuff. But what was weird was that, spoiler, was that the witch was like identical to the perpetrator of the Catholic school thing that happened.
Oh,
it was
great.
Like it's like the same you know, general thing. And I don't know what that speaks to, other than the fact that chaos, depopulation, divide and conquer, like full spectrum dominance are like in full effect right now. And I think that the turning point itself was like 2016 or the events in 2020. They were so huge that this kind of fallout thing that occurs, you know, you guys were talking about how the year started, you know, the insurance CEO assassination, then we had the floods, then we had the drones, then we had and it just keeps going one thing after the other. It's hard to predict like dates or events or when the things will happen, but we know that they will happen when they happen. And the only solution really for us is, you know, in my opinion, is pray, keep your family close, maintain, you know, good relationships in your community, stay aware, you know, trust your gut, be kind to people, and you know, stand up for yourself, and don't go to gigantic events where you're going to get facial recognition and certainly don't, like, if you have kids, don't bring your daughter to the political event where she's going to be on your shoulders watching this thing occur. Because that was in the photographs of the aftermath and the stampede. But this was certainly some sort of chosen spectacle operation. The fact that he was a moderate conservative seems to be, particularly important instead of someone else. I'm thankful that it wasn't anyone we know involved. People. I was on a panel last night on my friend David Patrick Harry's channel, Church of the Eternal Logos, and one of the panel guests, Jose, brought up that people start to discuss civil war and things like that, literal civil war occurring.
That's what Andrew Tate posted. He just posted exactly just that, nothing else. Civil war.
Yeah, and Jose brought up a good point, which was that the precedent for civil wars usually is that the oligarchical families will divide with their interests and will go to war with each other, which ends up being disseminated into the larger population. I think that was a good point. It's not usually that, poor people with nothing to lose or, the suffering people rise up. That's hardly ever the case. It's usually guided and financed. And so I think that probably is one intention, with things like this or balkanization or total surveillance, gun banning, all those things I think are outcomes. But at the end of the day, we saw this sort of stuff happen in 2020 so much, and it's really reminiscent of what people lived through in the 60s with constant, public figures being assassinated all the time. And we just have to be careful not to get too desensitized and too hopeless about, these sorts of things.
Well, that's a big concern right now.
Yeah.
That desensitization.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about it, man. Like, there is no other outcome than desensitization when these things become normal. Like, that's part of the problem.
To your point there, Baselit Analyzer, I just tagged you, Hesher. I just did a quick temperature check on the mainstream media. All the headlines are talking about the fact that the language that's being used by the right, it's war. This is war. That's what's being shoved in everybody's faces right now. From the Time, Reuters, The Guardian, Washington Post, etc., New York Times, I think also. This is not lost on the people who are always usually the most guilty in these types of things. Always is the media. So it's still, we got the old, but we got the new. So that's why I've been staying closer, keeping an eye on the X, as it were. But man, there you go. So ultimately, no matter who you are, where you come from, and as you pointed out, everybody's talking about this, even the people who don't pay attention to politics or talk shows or conservative, nothing. Like, everyone has heard about this. Everyone's seen the video. This cannot be by accident. They do want this to be another major 9/11 style, America changing type event. And yeah, so it clearly, you look at the language in the headlines, because nobody reads past the headlines. They want everybody to run around thinking that we are about to have some sort of civil war taking place. And I really find all of this stuff to be quite concerning, quite dangerous. This is in the aftermath of that movie and all that weird stuff and the Leave the World Behind. What if this is the atmosphere, right? And what if, like, things start cooking up and getting crazy for the next 2 weeks, and then in the middle of that, there's a cyber polygon?
And what was the main message of Leave the World Behind? I think I've said this before on the program, but the main message was, when the shit hits the fan, you are going to have one version of why the shit hit the fan. Your neighbor's going to have a different version of why the shit hit the fan. The people three doors down are going to have a different version of why the shit hit the fan. And those reasons may potentially put you in danger, because you might be in a category of people that, your neighbor is now propagandized to believe is the enemy combatant. I mean, you can watch that movie, Leave the World Behind. It's on Netflix. If you're savvy, you can not pay Netflix for it, but that's on you. There are plenty of ways to get access to it. And, You'll watch this whole movie. I'll predict that you'll watch this whole movie and you'll go, I don't understand what happened at the end. That's not the message. What actually happened isn't the message. Same with Charlie Kirk. What actually happened is not the message. What is the message is that there are 5 or 6 or 7 narratives that you can gravitate towards to help yourself figure out what happened, and they may or may not be right. And they may or may not cause you to be at war with your neighbor. There again.
Also, the fact that the people that are making that happen in the film are outside, and they are either in an elitist financial sector, right? Remember, the guy works for like a Soros character, or they are literally above you, dropping psyop leaflets on you. But regardless of any of that, most people, like the people in the film, the characters in the film, will have things happen right in front of them, and then they won't believe their lying eyes. Like, remember at the beginning of the film, like an oil tanker comes right up onto the beach, and they're like, "Oh, that was nothing."
Yeah. Like, they don't even get out of the way hardly. It's just like, what's happening? Why is this coming towards us?
Yeah. The Teslas all shut down.
No,
the family
Teslas
breaks up.
all go to one point, and
That's
they
right.
block a key access point in and out
That's
of a
right.
city, and they crash into each other to stop. So it's like your ability to escape is removed by AI, essentially.
The husband becomes soy. The wife gets attracted to the other guy. They meet up with the prepper guy. Remember the Kevin Bacon was the prepper character.
He almost kills him.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and then when the leaflets drop, so essentially, if you haven't seen this movie, what happens, we're spoiling it big time, but what happens is there's a great shutdown of the power and the internet and communications, and everybody is in a blackout. And a oddly matched group of people are at a rental house, to include someone who's worked for, as Bay said, like a Soros sort of entity, who kind of tries to describe to the wife in the situation, played by Julia Roberts, that these things happen. And when they do, especially now, you will never know who did it. Is there a shadowy cabal in a star chamber or in a boiler room somewhere setting it all up? It doesn't matter, because what you see on the ground when the lights go off and the internet goes off are leaflets dropped from C-130s in one town saying, hey, this is, insert Islamic nation here who did this to you. And in the next town over, they say, hey, this is North Korea who did this to you. And in the next town over, they say, hey, this is right-wing extremists who have done this to you. And in the next town over, they say, hey, these are left-wing extremists who have done this to you. And we're all sitting around with our thumbs up our asses and no power and no interwebs, just going, what the fuck? Where's my OnlyFans? Where's my Netflix? Oh, those fucking people, over there from North Korea did this to us, so we should definitely hate them. Like, that's how easily we have the wool pulled over our eyes right now. I think that was the takeaway from that movie.
Also, same time, Alex Garland's Civil War.
Oh, dude. Both almost at the exact same time, right? Like, you put those two films together. I finally watched that, by the way. I talked about it on my TNT show a couple times without having seen it, just sort of knowing what, it was about. But I finally watched it and absorbed that terrible piece of psychological operation. And it is a sister film to Leave the World Behind. Those two movies are meant to go together. It's clear as fucking day. And they're meant to scare the shit out of you if you care about this country, and if you have kids and you want them to grow up in a country like you think you might have maybe grown up in.
Yeah, but what kind of American are you?
Right? That scene's critical. That's critical. Fucking ginger.
What about you? Where are you from? The guy goes, Hong Kong. Oh no.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Oh, you're fucked. Yeah. Ginger redhead fucking Timu Matt Damon guy, whatever his fucking name is.
Yeah.
So
Jesse Plemons.
haunting in that. That's a compliment to you if you see this. No, like that's fucked up.
Going forward, it doesn't matter where the shooter shot from. If there was 2 shooters, multiple shooters, green grassy knoll, all of that's going to be the 20 different diversionary things that bounced off his plate carrier.
Yep.
What's really need to be paying attention to is where the actual establishment approved influencers are going to be shoehorning this narrative over the next week or two.
Yeah, those people.
And if those people are already being given a platform, if Laura Loomer's spouting her beautiful mouth off, trying to get all these leftist organizations, you know, deplatformed or investigated or whatever, that's going to be where everybody should be focusing and paying the attention to. And speaking, I guess,
You forgot deported.
God, conflating everybody that is against genocide as a Hamas supporter has only got so much weight that can be carried. You know, I really, that's kind of a threadbare argument anymore. And so they need something new. And unfortunately, I know a lot of leftists and conservatives and everybody in between, and I'm apolitical in any sense, but I can see when I'm in a group text with lots of people and one person's like, oh, Charlie Kirk got shot. And I'm like, my initial reaction was like, ah, fuck that guy. And then I was like, uh-oh, you know, maybe I shouldn't have said that. And then like start looking into it. And then it's like, okay, now, oh, we have a daily shooter here. And so then I get my, you know, tinfoil hat on and start, you know, diving into the rabbit holes and then continuing to read what they're saying. And the group text is like, one of the guys is just like, $5 says it's a tranny. And then 6 hours later, you start seeing the bullet engraving tranny narrative already being formed. And it's like, that's already where the conservatives want to go. And this, like, the overarching narrative of like, how do we get conservatives to be behind gun bans?
Right.
This is easy. This is like low hanging fruit. They're going to go for it because you've had 6, 7, 8 events in the last year and a half. And they've, you know, and they get, and don't get me wrong, people with mental illnesses probably shouldn't own guns, and the people on the conservative side tend to lean towards the people that are transgenders have a mental illness. I mean, this is a whole different boiler room. You guys have done this a million times, not to kick it into the weeds or anything, but like, if that's where my normie conservative friends are already going, that they're already going to blame, they already think that it's going to be a transgender shooter, then that's going to be the narrative that rides high. And how are you going to get conservatives on board with further gun control, further surveillance, further whatever? It's going to be this narrative because this is the one that gets the most eyeballs. And these are people with kids in schools, and they're having to deal with it. They're having to, you know, we've all, if you work for a corporation, a large corporation like I do, you have sensitivity training, and they make you watch these stupid videos where you know, you have to walk on eggshells around Jim or Joni that used to be Jim and all this sort of thing. And it, like, it's subliminally getting you rubbed the wrong way at all aspects of your life because it's forcing you to accept something that is a biological abnormality that's been promoted into like the new like labradoodle, you know, on a human scale. And I do worry about all of the leftover vitriol. Like, I mean, okay, this is, I don't know how to, conservatives never, like, Trump was maybe going to be their win to like poke the lefties in the eye after all the Kufid shit went down. And they were really the persecuted ones, and they never got their day of like retribution against the so-called, you know, the lefties, the people that were persecuting the normals, the normies, the Karens, the people that were getting them kicked out of restaurants, that were gloating if they were going to lose their job. And it became personal to all of them because it was like, you're threatening my income, my life, my family, my children for something that we all can see is this giant global push to get us to accept this grid. Whether or not they can see it on every level, they're still getting pissed off and getting, you know, harassed by their neighbor down the block with the word, you know, this house has no science deniers or whatever sign and that sort of stuff. So they're like, they never got their day of vengeance, so to speak, against the people that put them through hell for 3 years. And so there is like, is the board going to be tapping into this still pissed off undercurrent of people that never got to see anything go to justice? And a lot of people never got held accountable for that stuff. There's inquiries. Okay, so Maryland or New York, like they're giving a bunch of fired nurses some of their back pay and that sort of thing. But like
5 years later,
millions of other people that like didn't fall under that stuff, whose life got maybe destroyed or their business got wrecked, their revenue got crippled, and they had to restructure. They had to fire a bunch of people, lay off, cut health benefits. Like all of that sort of stuff is still simmering under, and it never got addressed. And you still have that animosity of the left towards the right. And is that going to play like a factor here where it's like we can get one over on these people now because they're resorting to violence, therefore we were peaceful during all of this,
right? And it's
now's
like
our time.
And it's like both sides in the political dialectics seem to be like, oh, we're going to take the, when we're not in power, we're going to take the higher road until a certain point, right? Like that was sort of the feeling of the left up until Trump got in power the first time, and then it became the Republicans' turn, during Biden. It's just like, all right, we're gonna, oh my God, you're gonna open the border. Oh my God, 20 million immigrants. Oh my God, 100,000 fentanyl deaths a year. Wow. Okay, and war in all these other countries, and all right, you know what I mean. It's like none of these things are resolved, and
No.
it pushes people to a point where they're like, eventually, after they've been through a couple cycles of this on that pendulum, where they're like, okay, they just killed my favorite influencer. We don't know who they is because there's this weird deep state factor that none of us are going to be able to pop through, but someone in the they category just killed someone that I relate with. And I think about all the other people that have been killed up until now. Also, I have to just take a moment and think about the hundreds of journalists that have and UN supporters that have died in Gaza and Palestine and Syria, in Iraq, Afghanistan, Ukraine, journalists being tortured and killed. And like this stuff is like what we just saw. Like in America, we may not be used to that, but it's going on all the time. And we've lost a lot of good people from the international community of truth seekers and journalists and stuff like that. And so many so that we don't even have time to stop and mourn them all and memorialize them all and talk about what they brought to the table. So it's really weird to, think about Charlie and all the dissonance there and the influencer factor and all the questions everybody has and why he's gone, what the motivation was. It's really easy to feel black-pilled over stuff like this on a day like this, especially to see that people can't even successfully have a candlelight vigil for the guy without political violence popping off.
You saw Marjorie Taylor Greene trying to say a prayer in Congress for it, and they booed her. They booed her down.
Yeah,
that's not helping.
No, this is a great example of like an opportunity for an honest media and honest politicians to cry for unity and repair and take us back to things that Martin Luther King said and that the founding fathers said and that many other luminaries said, people that are around right now like Thomas Sowell, like they could be boosting people like that at a time like this instead of like trying to figure out whether or not they're going to jail or deport people that are reposting the very public assassination of Charlie Kirk. You know what I mean? Like there's so many other ways that these technologies and media outlets could be used right now that would actually help us de-escalate and not, you know what I mean? Like so many so many fucking routes out of this that we have available to us if we were an honest society and honest media and honest politics, a representative constitutional politics. You know what I mean? These solutions are not fucking hard, although the problems are big, I admit, and it took years to make the problems this bad, and it would take years to improve them. But the immediate fixes, the stop the bleeds, the unity stuff, not that hard to do. And it sure as fuck isn't headlines like that.
What if like for just 24 to 48 hours, everybody, all the headlines that they saw and all the news that they saw on TV, on the mainstream news, on their local channel was nothing but good news. All of those feel good stories about, oh, this person, this sixth grader decided to raise all this money and feed the homeless. What if it was nothing but stories like that for 24 to 48 hours straight? How quickly do you think that people would have an incredibly different take on society and the world around them? Because I would argue that it would be a very positive one. And that's how powerful the fucking media is. And they know this and they understand. Why do you think that when you turn on your news and you watch these things and you see the headlines, it's nothing but bad news? It's nothing but the most horrific shit seriously, sometimes I just want to watch TV and get back into horror movies and video games just to escape all the violence and the sex and the nudity and all the crap that is in real life on my TV screens every time I tune into the news, when it could be very different. They really do. They're part of the storytellers that control and shape the narrative and socially engineer everybody. And it's a damn shame. And now X is the new media, and it's happening faster and harder and crazier.
And they blame it on you. They say, you're the media. Here it is. It's on the app. You are this. And what do you see? You see bouncing boobs. You see people that are too young with OnlyFans accounts. You see murder.
See babies missing their heads, and they're not Israeli babies.
You see war.
I deleted my ex. I got rid of all that stuff.
Dude,
my Instagram is cats with bow ties. Guys going after the Nigerian uncles in London, putting spells on them. He's working that. And Dolph Hitler memes.
What about Moodang, dude? I got Moodang in my shit. I got baby, miniature hippopotamus and shit. Look at Palm Beach Cat Bistro there. Cat videos. How about that?
Well,
make America cat video again.
Can we go back to lolcats? I mean, seriously, like, remember when lolcats hit? There were no algorithms, there were no AIs, and even if you were a dog person,
you seen that cat that learned how to bark like a dog because it lives with dogs?
Yeah. Totally.
This is why that Clippy movement thing resonates with people, because people really are sick of this shit. They're out there. Yeah. That's why somebody like a Charlie Kirk, again, like him or hate him, I mean, he resonated with the youth. I mean, that's a dangerous problem, no matter how you look at it. I mean, seriously, whether or not he was sincere or not. I mean, without somebody like him, how many people in that young age bracket in a world like this are going to be like, yes, I think I'd like to be a straight-laced conservative Christian? Like, seriously, think about it.
Right? Like, do I have to wear body armor? Level 3?
Could that be a bad thing for this country, even if he's control? Like, is that really a bad thing if a bunch of young people think I'd rather follow Christianity and Christ and be against all of it? That's not a bad thing. I mean, this country was founded on that stuff. People, come on.
Well, that is a thing that is on the rise. It's certainly booming.
It is, and it's considered like, for a lot of people right now, especially young people, it's considered somewhat revolutionary because everything is post-truth, everything is postmodern, everything is awful, everything is degenerate, and young people are able, like, when things get stale, the youth are the first people to recognize, hey, that's fucking stale old people shit. That's, you know what I mean? Like, they may not be able to articulate exactly why it's stale old people shit, and I remember this being that age. It's just like, I knew there was something wrong. And I knew I had to go against it in some way, shape, or form, but I didn't have quite enough experience to articulate that properly, which led to some hilarious old college newspaper interviews with me and stuff like that some of my friends out there watching the show have, that were censored and highly edited, by the way. But yeah, you know, like that shit takes time. That shit takes time to build up. And
Maybe the thing that will unify people will be the exterior invasion event of some kind. I mean, say what you will about Big Nine. I mean, everybody knows that, you know, in the aftermath of Big Nine, there was that weird period of, you know, like very, very visceral unification, you know, amongst Americans. Some like to believe that wasn't real, but it was. That was a thing. It was palpable at the time.
yeah. Yeah. Inherent. I like that, John. Inherent rebellion. That's the thing, man. And like, I think that's one of the things that speaks to a lot of us when we're young and shit, even me right now, like songs of revolution and shit like that. Like, even if they're coming from people that I know are like geopolitically fucking illiterate, I'm still just like, yeah, no surrender. You know what I mean? It's a thing. And if you really latch onto it when you're young, you know, you end up sort of integrating that into your evolution as a human and thinking person, right? And that's a good thing, you know what I mean? Even if it's misguided in its youth. And that's, you know, again, why I'm like super forgiving for someone like Charlie who had some real shit takes and some real like influencer um you know, sort of business relationships that I find distasteful.
And I don't like what Baselit Analyzer was just saying, because my mind immediately went to something that now Palm Beach Cat Bistro just brought up. The current zeitgeist, as it were, with everybody so politically divided, they cannot get everybody on board to agree that this country here is the enemy. Like, people are split with the Ukraine versus Russia thing. People are on the fence with the China thing. People are obviously very split over the Palestine and Israel thing and Iran. Like, so the only way they could get away with that, if they truly wanted to do that kind of thing, is that kind of thing. It would have to be such an external threat. It would be an alien threat. And that's the next shoe to drop that me and people like Photon are always concerned about coming soon.
What about the orb flying across the ocean video this week? And they, you know, they were like, "This is the Hellfire missile bouncing around nobody."
It's always there. I don't put it past them, bro. Jay Dyer would probably agree, I'm sure.
Everybody could agree on either side of the aisle that your currency is getting fucked. Your purchasing power of your dollar is getting fucked. Living wages are stagnating. Like, everything has to be like put into keeping people from having the conversation where they can, you know, quote unquote, reach across the aisle and agree on the fact that you're getting fucked. And as long as they can point to one person or one side of the aisle as doing it, you know, like on the right, it's like, oh, it's because the left brings in immigrants. And the right's like, oh, it's because the war in Ukraine, or that, you know, like every side, it's like we can't let them agree that they're getting screwed, even though everybody, if you take all the politic out, knows that food's getting more expensive. Gas is still going up. Like, Americans, one thing, we're materialistic, narcissistic assholes. We all know the price at the pump, like the value of your dollar. Like, that's one thing that you can't fudge. And so
price of a steak.
Yeah, $19 for a ribeye that I bought today.
Price of cigarettes.
Yeah, so it's like you can get, everybody can agree that you're getting screwed at the pump or at the grocery or whatever. Like, the people, like, I work for a small company, they can't keep payment increases for employees. Like, raises can't keep up with the fact, like, that inflation is wrecking them on the back end. And the company has to continually restructure. And it's not easy. And it's not pretty. That's a whole other thing. But, like, that's a scam. Why aren't we investigating that, Laura Loomer? Like, what the fuck? You got this big platform. Can we fucking dive into that for a minute? Like, no, no. Like everybody can agree. Like, if your dollars are being spent on murdering people overseas, you could, like, look out your window and be like, that, like, potholes everywhere. Like, I don't want to kill people. I just want to be able to drive to work without blowing out my CV axle on the front end of my car. Like, I don't care.
And on top of that, we'd like to know that our federal agencies and you know, that kind of stuff aren't being weaponized and being used in dodgy politicized events, violent events. Like, can we get some proof on that? Like that has been stopped?
Where's Trump?
No. The answer to that is
where's all the money?
no.
Where's all the money that Doge saved? Like, they're doing all
What
these
about the war on terror, which was about oil, and the prices just have gone up? How about that?
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. That's a conspiracy. Yeah, I see.
How
what
we
you're
doing on
into.
that Fort Knox gold audit check, everybody?
Hold your breath, dude.
What you got on my fucking tuna sandwich, bitch? Is that $20 or $30 this week?
That's the other thing. We can't all be online prostitutes. Somebody has to catch the tuna and make the bread, which means
You got to take your drug
field.
scales to the Walmart to weigh your steak now, because it's not it's really 5 ounces. It's only 3.
That's cool. I got 3 of those ready to go.
Hell yeah.
I just want sensible, realistic things, and everything is going away from that. Like, I can't have a conversation with half the people I know in the family, like immediate family, without getting brought into the whole Trump Biden narrative. And I still got family that's like, oh, trust a plan, like he's saving Ukraine and Israel for last, like the good guys are in charge. And I'm like, you're fucking retarded, dude. But like,
Show me the tunnels.
Yeah, you're almost as annoying as the leftists, but during COVID, you guys weren't trying to get me fired from my job. So like, but you're still annoying. Like, you're slightly less annoying than the leftists, but you're really close. And the
it's
whole
getting bad.
bending over backwards to apologize for blatant like criminality and being like, oh, that's a body double, son. It's like, okay, like let's take the internet away from everybody.
Give us one we haven't heard yet and already explored. I mean, I challenge you. All the blue anon shit that we're seeing right now is hilarious. I'm really enjoying bookmarking all the blue anon copes.
So sad, dude.
Dude,
I know. Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah.
And then look at this. Like, this is something that we're dealing with right now too, and this is one of the reasons I'm just off the old taxonomy of this kind of like, web sleuthing. Matt Wallace, the infamous Matt Wallace account, which we do not endorse. I used Grok AI to turn the photos into videos. $100,000 reward for anyone who finds him. So,
oh my god,
my understanding,
Sam Hyde in the video.
Yeah, right. But my understanding of this is that he took still shots or
where's the Mauser?
Oh,
it was in his pant leg.
No,
where's the fucking gun?
No,
it's not a real video.
Let me explain.
No. I mean the still frames. Like, that gun should be sticking out of his backpack at least 1.5 feet.
No, okay, all right.
The Matt Damon takedown version.
It's a valid question. A lot of people are asking this. Here's the thing, and we brought this up, but this is why this is so ridiculous and retarded. If you want to know what the official narrative, social media feedback loop wise is right now on the weapon and why you don't see it in this guy's hand, you go to Steven Crowder's page and you read his unnamed ATF informant whistleblow document email that he got, and you have to accept from a podcaster that he got an anonymous source email saying that that this is him leaving the event and he had already ditched the rifle in the woods. So we don't know who this guy is. They don't have this guy in custody. Just to put this in context, they don't have this guy in custody, but they claim that they have ring camera videos from a neighborhood that he walked out of to get out of there after he ditched the rifle. Okay, so people are eating all this up and it's all coming through X. While they don't have, unless something has changed since we started the show, while they don't have an actual suspect. And then this account comes along and says, hey, guess what, guys? Guess what, internet sleuths? I used Grok AI to take freeze frames from those, whatever resolution ring cameras and turn it into a what if video. What if the guy looked like this? Or, like a
Dude, I saw a guy
sci-fi.
who looked just like that and was walking just like that in the neighborhood, Hesher. I swear, we should probably call somebody. What do you think?
Right? I mean, $100,000, dude. You might get $100,000.
Fuck, I'm on it, dude. I'm gonna find somebody that looks like that then.
You can just ask Grok to make a video of someone that looks like
Right
that,
on,
like
man.
that Wallace did.
Is this gonna be footage of Edward Norton and then maybe the score, like infiltrating the thing and pretending to be a slow boy, like he stashed the gun in a mop bucket,
Yeah,
or they'll find a Church of Latter-day Saints Mormon cult member Patsy, because isn't that the territory?
We
yeah.
didn't even touch on that tonight. The 3-letter agencies hire a lot of their boys out of those Mormon
Dude.
schools because they don't do drugs, they don't drink, they believe in a fake religion, they'll take orders from a false messiah, and they think they're doing the greater good for God and country.
Dude, okay.
And it's like, oh, and then you've got that giant NSA data server is like one mountain range over. I lived in Utah. I've been through Provo. I've seen that camp. Like,
That's what Eddington is about in the movie.
And the Mormons are in charge of the whole, like, what's that ranch up there where they do the reality show? The fucking Skinwalker. They're all the Mormon. The guy that used to be the governor there is now the guy that's in charge of Skinwalker Ranch, and he works with a CIA guy to make a reality show about this
Bane
ranch.
Capital.
It's a whole Bermuda Triangle weird thing. If you don't
Howard
know.
Hughes' entire organization was Mormons.
Yeah. So check this out. So I was watching. I had a bit of an inside track when this was all going on between a couple of people I'm not going to name, but shouts out to you guys. You know who you are. Someone inside of Rav and one of our friends who's close to Charlie and Charlie's team. Anyways, I'm like, I heard he didn't make it, and I'm sitting there, I'm watching Fox, right? I'm waiting for Fox because I knew exactly when he passed away because I had this outside conversation going on, and I'm watching Fox and I'm waiting. I'm like, okay, they're going to say it in a minute because everybody at this point, like Tim Pool, other people, posting stuff like, oh, he's going to make it. He's going to be okay. And some people saying, oh, he's dead. And, it was all very like chaotic for a moment there. And then like Fox waited about 25 minutes after I heard he'd actually passed. And while they were pouring fluff into their live stream during those 20 minutes, 25 minutes, whatever, they brought in this guy. He was dark skinned. I don't know what his background was, but he was a Mormon, and it was really weird. Like this interview with this guy, I watched it on their live stream, so I don't have it to hand. I don't know if it made it into the clips on X, where apparently everything is right now, but I watched this clip and it was really fucking weird. It was like they gave the guy about 2 minutes because he was brought on to the Fox interview because he was an eyewitness, but he was at the school. I don't know if he's a student or not, but he was there as a Mormon, and he had some sort of Mormon-centric questions for Charlie Kirk, and he did this whole fence sitting thing where he was like, I agree with Charlie Kirk on a lot of stuff, and I disagree with him on a lot of stuff to include, and then he started going into the whole Mormon aspect of it. And it was just really weird. It felt really out of place. It didn't feel authentic. It didn't feel like an authentic interview to me. It felt like, oh, this is someone there that's there to plant seeds about a narrative. And it really felt like he was laying a breadcrumb trail. But there was this whole like mea culpa basically to the narrative aspect where they gave this guy, they could have easily, as someone who has produced stuff myself, if I were producing that, I would have been, okay, journalists, you did a great job. I'm going to cut off the first 2 minutes of this because it's irrelevant to what I'm talking about. But it was left in there and it felt very out of place. And he had some strange details that he threw in there about, being there at the shooting, and what he had said to Charlie and what Charlie said back to him. And he was the second to last person to speak with him. The next person was going to talk about the trans violence stuff. And that's when it happened. So I don't know. It's neither here nor there. I don't have a link to it, but to your point, I just felt like it was like, remember Stephen Paddock's brother? It was almost like that. It was so out of place that really threw me for a like, what the fuck did I just watch? And why didn't
They
I?
accidentally stopped and interviewed the actual guy pulled the trigger.
It's something. I don't know, man. Yeah, it's just
I
like,
don't remember anything.
yeah. So I don't know, man. We're way into this show. I should probably wind it down. I have a bazillion clips and links. So I'm gonna put them on the show page. So for those of you that want to do a deep dive and let us know what you think, let us know down in the comments. We would appreciate that. There's been some spicy and wacky comments so far. So we'd like some of our intellectual people to jump in there, give us your thoughts. Like I said, Boiler Room's always been out for blood, but it's not the kind of shit that we're seeing in the media today. It's been intellectual blood. And the same could be said for Charlie, even though we would debate heavily on certain things if he was still around. And I'm disappointed we don't have that opportunity, and this is where we're at right now. But fuck, I don't know what else to say, man. This is not the kind of thing that we were hoping to be talking about tonight, nor was the Big 9 event. And we skated around that one a little bit. But anyways, we got some good stuff going on, too. I'll leave you with, what do you got there, Whitebird?
What's the Time Person of the Year, my guy?
Oh, dude.
Dude.
Do you think Trump's going to get a Nobel Peace Prize?
Oh, man. He's trying every different angle, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's trying, like, 7 conflicts that he didn't solve himself, wasn't involved in any of them. I mean, he's taking credit for a lot of stuff. I hope we should just give him one for taking credit for stuff he didn't do. Like, yeah. At this
point.
As
well. I mean, we gave it one to Obama,
like,
just for getting elected, right? And then he decided to drone bomb, like.
Yeah, he was JFK with blackface, so they just handed it to him because he was talking a good game, and then what happened?
Here you go, young man.
Yeah, that didn't end well. It didn't end well.
No,
depressing shit all around. I don't really have any much more to say other than what I already did. It's kind of sad. Just, pay attention to where they're trying to shoehorn the narrative in the next few weeks, and pay attention to the shitty influencers that nobody knows where their fucking money comes from and isn't transparent about where their money comes from, and will sit on the fence forever and maybe goes and kisses old Roman forts with a silly hat on and see where they're trying to shoehorn the narrative and, and just, all that sort of thing.
Wait for the little green men to land, right? Wait for Jesus to come back or something in the sky. Like something's going to, like, there's a reason every previous conspiracy has been collapsed and built down into like put in a like a Molly made oven and baked down into like Netflix docu-series size 3 episodes. Everything's done now. We're done. Epstein, who the fuck is that? 9/11, what the fuck, that was so long ago. JFK, well, we did our best. You know what I mean? It's like everything is wrapped up right now, and Charlie Kirk come along and we already know we're not going to get a good answer, or we're going to get a questionable narrative and no fucking true disclosure. Same with like Trump's ear, same with so many things. We could go all the way back to COVID.
It grew back so fast.
It's just the lobe heals fast.
It was the upper cartilage. Come on.
It's right here in the lobe.
Well, the GOP has their martyr. They've got their Horst Wessel.
Yeah.
So is there going to be a leftist martyr soon, you think, to keep it?
They've got theirs.
Well, there are things that I didn't even want to put on this show tonight that we have in the notes that I'll put on the show page. Some of which are just like really haunting, people on official big accounts threatening other conservative influencers. And I'll leave it at that. And it's like, they're very clear threats. They're concerning. It makes me want to say, hey, level 4 armor. You might want level 4.
And they're not taking it down. This is
no.
this is where it gets, it's like, this is allowed to play out.
Some of the
I
gory
agree.
I have one of those if you wanted to see it real quick.
Yeah, let's throw one up.
I could just throw it up on the
What
One
screen.
example of
martyr, like
many.
Anne Hesh getting shoved into the back of a fucking fire truck?
Yeah,
St. George.
dude.
All right, so we have an account here, allegedly on X. The name of the account is I Smoked Charlie Kirk. So somebody here, Larry, wanted to know, WTF, how is this account even allowed to remain on this platform when it breaks multiple rules? Good question. The comments from their followers are also in violation. This account needs to be reported and suspended. Now, I found out about that because somebody else had reposted this post from Laura Logan, who I don't think I was following, and I'm still not following. I wouldn't follow this person generally, but I cannot disagree with a single thing that she said. She said, all of this looks like a coordinated effort to incite. What's the bet that we get a drip, drip, drip of information that paints the picture they want us to see? Most likely blaming some hapless trans patsy who, if involved at all, will just be the fall guy, all the while masking the conspiracy and trying to incite violence/hatred towards trans and, by extension, gay people. How many times do we have to be used like this? I am getting off the merry-go-round. Join me. That is an example of how the left is being ridiculous. But of course, this is more important and more scary, is how the right. Yep. So we've been talking about this. This is just a quick little screenshot of all of these huge. I mean, these are some of the biggest bigs of the blue check mark. This is the You Are the Media on X. This is why I'm bringing this up. Now, one of my favorite accounts to follow is this account, Just the Thought. So she posted this screenshot, and again, I have to share this. This is very important. She says there is nothing, absolutely nothing organic about the response to Charlie Kirk's death. She's not talking about his death, right? She's talking about the response. This is what we're tracking here, right? Almost immediately, that was the key. This happened almost immediately. We are seeing swarms of quote unquote influencers and quote unquote leaders coming out with the same message. Red flag, everybody, red flag when you see that happening. But the message is, this is war. Account after an account calling for people to be fired, censored, or worse. This is not the solution. Don't let yourself be manipulated into supporting the erosion of rights or the hateful division that has become a defining characteristic of our country. There is no right versus left. There is only the people versus the ruling class. There is only class war if there is to be any. Despite what is being shoved down your throat 24/7, your neighbor is not your enemy. They are human. They have struggles. They are propagandized, and they cannot change your material conditions. As Americans, we still have a choice to unite or to further divide. We still have a chance. Be a unifier. And I'm sad to report that one of these big X mark accounts caught that and decided to say, you can just get out of the way, honey. We will take it from here.
Oh, geez.
You cannot make this fucking shit up. So, Chase Geyser, I'm right now live on air unfollowing you, you giant idiot douchebag. You're going to regret that kind of take one day, I'm sure.
Yeah, dude. Enough with believing the psyops. Enough with picking the option that goes with your bias. You know, enough. Look at it like a journalist. Look at it like you're Sherlock Holmes.
I should do some movie reviews next week.
Yeah.
Like, fuck all this shit, man. Let's hear
I'm playing the video game as soon as I get off air.
Yeah, seriously,
Has
dude.
been
Like
watching
this,
some good shit. Get
it's
Jay on
getting-
here. Fuck it.
Some
Fuck
good
it
movies
all.
coming out soon.
yeah.
Yeah, good.
Fuck all this noise, right? All right, you guys, let's shut it down. Whitebird, thanks for being here tonight, man. Let's get you back in here before the same amount of time it took from last time.
Yeah, that seems to be a recurring theme, but I'll see what I can do.
All right, later, buddy. Basil and Analyzer, over to you. Save rounds, final thoughts, any shout outs?
Yo, thanks for having me on here, you guys. Appreciate it. I think to get a full view of the Big 9 day, just go to Wikipedia and look at all the events that happened on September 11th if you really want to get some context for that. I was wrong earlier, by the way. I said Guatemala. I think it was the Chile events, the coup in Chile that was September 11th, amongst a million other things. Check me out at Baselit Analyzer on YouTube. I'll be doing film reviews coming up since you mentioned it. Some book reviews. Please check out my Princess Bride and Dostoevsky recent analysis. And of course, go to the links on my Instagram, on my YouTube, or just go to Amazon and look up this book right here. This is Runes. This is my book that I published this week. And I'm not bragging, but the book debuted at number 33 in British and Irish poetry. And I was 33, but I was behind. Everyone ahead of me has been dead for
Illuminati
a long time.
confirmed.
Right. Yeah. Illuminati confirmed. So technically speaking, I was for a little while the number one best-selling British and Irish poet in the world.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, number 100 something, but ahead of me is, Shakespeare and Milton and all these people. So please go buy my book, check it out. Thanks guys.
Congrats.
Appreciate y'all. And I'll see you soon.
All right. Later, Baze. There he goes. Baselit Analyzer on YouTube. Ruckus, over to
We
you.
have resident published authors and everything now, Hesher. We're
I know.
in the big leagues. I guess we
Right.
need to be wearing level 4 plate when we go out.
I guess so. We should probably make a book or two also ourselves, right?
Yeah, don't Bill Cooper me. I've been saying that for years. Truly, honestly, in fact, if you find some of my old accounts on social medias, you'll see that I always, because before I used my real name, Adam Clark, I just went by Ruckus, of course, and hid behind my little avatar thing that I usually use. But they were like, oh, you have to tell us your birthday. So I would always use September 11th, 2001 as the birthday of Ruckus. And that was not that's not what or when I became Ruckus, but I became Ruckus for the most part because of my learnings and dealings and studying Bill Cooper. And of course, circling back to him, bringing that up and the stuff that he did. So much about the Bill Cooper stuff is ingrained in me, including some of the words that I use and the way that I talk and my cadence. And it's so subconscious, I never even realized it, but it hit me full in the face today. Again, when I was listening to Bill Cooper, I'm like, is this why I say folks so many times? Because he used that word a lot.
Right.
And the way he talks and the way he treats the stupidity people is the way that I respond to people on X. I noticed that too. I was like, oh my God, I'm like, man, am I like I feel very Bill Cooper-ish about the way I think and feel and act sometimes. So just wanted to bring that up. And I had no idea or I forgot about this, but I guess it's my 8-year anniversary on Twitter today because I did join Twitter 8 years ago as myself, the real Adam Clark. And I did significantly on purpose choose 9/11 as my first day to join Twitter because I had another Twitter account that I hardly used. It was my Ruckus one, but I joined Twitter for real while it was still Twitter 8 years ago on this date. And the first post I made was actually a graphic that I had made with the Twin Towers. I don't have it. I was looking for it. It's somewhere out there. So I wanted to bring all that up. And I wanted to close out tonight by sharing what I posted on X. I'm not going to put it on the screen. I'm just going to read it to you and then do my traditional closing, which I do every time I'm on the Boiler Room, which I also borrowed from Bill Cooper. So I said, folks, the only real the real evil ones, control both sides of politics and media. Please don't think that your fellow neighbors, coworkers, and friends want to do harm to you or anyone else simply because they are registered as a D or an R. Insane criminals are going to do insane criminal things, regardless of which party they like or hate. And the hidden hand, the quote unquote they, will always, always, always use tragedy to stoke division, spread fear, incite chaos, and enact policies. Don't be a pawn. Don't let quote unquote them use your emotions and reactionary decisions to further the agenda to destroy our country from within and kill the American spirit. Remember the idyllic foundation of what it means to live in such a beautiful and free country as the United States of America. We, the people, must stand united, or divided we fall. Never forget that. God bless each and every one of you, and may God save this republic. Ruckus out.
All right. Yeah, there he goes. Thanks, Ruckus. Appreciate that. And, by the way, last week's episode, we played a clip from a podcast where they were it looked like they were learning about Bill Cooper for the first time. And I referenced a episode of Sunday Wire that I produced 10 years ago. 10 years ago with Doyle Shamley. And I think that was the last time he told his version of the last days of Bill Cooper's life. And I went and I looked at 21st Century Wire's website, and I looked at our website, and it wasn't there. And I went and I remastered it. I re-uploaded it. I pulled any copywritten material out of it. Shortened up a lot of the Skype glitches we used to get a decade ago. Oh, boy, does that bring back memories. Are you there? Hello? Dong. Oh, man. I almost missed the challenges that we used to face. But that episode is linked on last week's Boiler Room page up at alternatecurrentradio.com. I pulled it out of the deep encrusted memory banks of Alternate Current Radio and 21stCenturyWire.com. I also updated the page of 21st Century Wire for that show, and shouts out to some people that have helped us achieve our goal, our first goal this year that I've asked you folks out there to help us with, which is getting enough capital raised to move our operation to a different podcasting platform. So we're in the middle of that. We got a lot of good stuff going on, and just big thanks to everybody that was involved in that. Badger, BMAC. I'm just going off the top of my head here. I'm going to give a complete list. I was going to do it tonight, but things just got too crazy. But Badger, BMAC, you guys were instrumental. Brian S., thank you. Creative Accidents, thank you. A few others. We'll get back to you guys next week. We're out of here. I wish it was under better circumstances, and I certainly hope that some of the things that we have said and felt tonight resonate with a lot of you, and that you would like to see a de-escalation in this country right now. See you next time.
That's it. Go ahead and run. Run home and cry to mama.